Hello guys, this is Dark Fox Sage 2 and we are back with our new fanfic, which is what if Naruto met the crew of his Segregate brother Luffy and built his harem with Nami part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and please subscribe to the channel. It motivates me to upload more fanfic like these for you all. Now let's start the fanfiction. Naruto and his doctor were walking toward the center of the rundown, desolate, and destroyed town in order to save two members of their crew. The fact that the two kidnappers were Baroque Works members was a small bonus since it was their ultimate goal to topple the organization anyway. Both pirates were curious to see what kind of agent they'd have to face. After all, for them to work for a warlord of the sea they would need to be tough. Hey, what do you think they're gonna look like? Naruto asked his doctor with a little curiosity in his voice. I'm not completely sure, but judging by the frontier agents you told me about they might not be that strong. Law answered, with a critical thinking face adorning his features. Yeah, but what if they're officer agents? Vivi said that they are the higher-ups in the group, and they only get orders from Crocodile. Naruto pointed out to the teen. If that is true then we'll have to be prepared. He replied to his superior with one of his rare serious expressions. I can't help to be a little excited about fighting them. Naruto smirked at the thought of the agent look like ultimate badasses with lightning coming out of their eyes, and fire breath. So they've finally showed up. That's too bad, I was about to have fun with this woman. A rather sinister sounding voice called from the middle of the square. Despite the voice talking to them, the two pirates were shocked at the chrome statue of Bonnie that was right next to him. It was clear that it was the real cook because of the clear sign of shock on her face, and the realistic facial features on it. What the hell did you do to my cook, you asshole? Naruto asked with his fist clenched. Naruto, much like Luffy, didn't take kindly to his crew being badmouthed, or defeated, especially if it was a surprise attack. So he was holding himself back from punching this guy's light out. Well, hey, let me jump in first. A female voice sounded this time, as said woman jumped down from one of the nearby dead trees with Kid on her back. Once again the duo was shocked to see that the first mate seemed to be covered in black spots, and had some blood dripping from his mouth. Law, what's wrong with him? Naruto asked the doctor with barely contained rage clearly showing. It seems like he's been infected by the plague, but it should be impossible, the disease itself was reported as extinct. Law explained with a frown on his face now. It's true that the disease was extinct, but my partner can, my devil fruit, the health fruit, has powers that allow me to control one's health, either making it good or bad, mostly bad though, the woman explained to them. Why don't you show your faces, officer agents? Naruto asked and saw them take off the cloaks they were wearing to show two very interesting people, well, one of them anyway. The man was wearing a white button-down shirt with suspenders, with high pants and thick glasses. Basically he was a nerd in all over except for his surprisingly deep, evil-sounding voice. The woman had flawless tan skin and was every pervert's dream since she was wearing an obviously too small nurse outfit that had red crosses where her nipples would be, and to top it off her black bra, which was straining, was showing since she neglected to button up her outfit. Okay. Law, you fight the nerd, I'll take the woman. Naruto said with blood dripping out of his nose. No way. I want to fight her, you can take him, so you can save your girlfriend. Law objected to the plan with blood dripping as well. Hey, I'm the captain, you bastard, I decide who we fight. And what girlfriend? The blonde argued with him. Hey, pay attention to us, will you? The man sighed out while the woman giggled at the display. Yeah, what do you want? They asked so they could get back to their argument. I am Mr. -1 and I'm his partner, Ms. Checkup Day. Ms. Checkup Day once again interrupted her partner. Ms. Checkup Day, please refrain from interrupting me in front of the. So there's a -1, huh? Naruto, while he picked his nose like he didn't care about the answer, Vivi never mentioned you. Law pointed out. That is correct, it's because the boss decided to keep us a secret, just in case he was found out. Mr. -1 explained and sighed in relief because he was able to finish his sentence this time. Usually his partner interrupted him whenever he opened his mouth, and it was everyone, not just her. You know what I think? I think that you two had the potential to be Mr. One and partner, but someone better had come along, so you got booted down instead. Not only that, but you couldn't even hold a real place like Mr. Four or something, so he eventually got you out of his hair by putting you here. Law theorized, and without knowing got it right. It makes no difference, we can get back in the boss's good graces if we end someone like you. That bounty of yours will make our numbered positions a sure thing. Mr. -1 told them. So that outfit of yours, am I supposed to know that you were a doctor at one point? Law asked the woman that had inflicted a deadly disease on his crewmate. Yeah, I was, but when I got my powers I accidentally killed a patient. It wasn't all bad though. He was a criminal that the Marines wanted to be treated for his broken arm, so he'd be ready for his execution. My powers made me realize that no one can truly be saved, we just stave death off for a few years. We all meet our end eventually, so what if it comes sooner? She smiled maniacally as she gave her speech. You're no doctor, you are a monster. You've turned on the Hippocratic oath all doctors swear on. Trafalgar was now visibly angry at learning this information, and his captain looked at him in mild surprise. Law, are you okay? He asked him. Yes, but now I need to fight her for the honor of doctors that are actually true to the oath, he said with conviction, and saw the respect his captain had for him go up when he nodded his head. Drum Island. Tony Chopper had sneezed as he was walking with some volatile chemicals, and they exploded, making him fly out of Drum Castle. Ray's Island. Do you honestly? Yeah, we know we can beat you. Naruto interrupted the man once again. Let me finish my sentence. The man chided the pirate captain. Fine, what do you have to say? Naruto asked. Your crew members are going to die anyway, he cryptically told them. How so? Well, this young lady only had oxygen for an hour, and by now she has got about 20 minutes, Naruto finished with a guess. Yes. Okay. Stop cutting into my sentences. Sorry. It's just with that meager appearance, how can someone help themselves? Law admitted to the man. I know, I mean the way he looks makes him seem so boring and nerdy. I just can't bother to listen. Naruto agreed with his doctor. More importantly, back to the matter at hand, this guy has the plague, like Mr. Good Doctor said, but it far more advanced than the norm, he'll die from it soon. Ms. Checkup Day laughed at their angry faces. They were basically toying with the lives of their crew, excluding one, like it was a game you play if one was bored. They won't die, I won't let them. They're my crew, and I need them to be strong, Naruto said in confidence, and could almost feel Bonnie and Kid getting angry over being dropped on by these losers. That's not all either, you've been messing with those kids. Law pointed out to their enemies and their captain, who wasn't there for the old man's tale. They're the reason why the kids need to steal from pirates. I'll kick their asses, Naruto yelled and charged the nerdy-looking man while Law ran at the woman. Trafalgar Law vs. Ms. Checkup Day. Law went for an overhead slash on the traitorous doctor, but was surprised when she jumped 10 feet in the air. I told you I can control health. Even if it seems impossible, it depends on the muscles you work on, she explained. So you're basically extending and augmenting your physical capabilities? Law asked the woman that smirked in response. Exactly. How will you make it up here now? She taunted the man, but then noticed a blue sphere around her. What the? She noticed the teen had slashed at the air from his position on the ground, and noticed the air ripple slightly. With that slight confirmation, the woman could tell it was bad news, so she maneuvered her body out of the way. Damn it. I missed. Room. Law then switched himself with some dirt to appear next to the agent as she landed on the ground. How are you moving so fast? She asked and took a swing at his face, but was blocked by his sheath. It's my devil fruit power, he said simply, and kicked her in the gut. Shouldn't you know not to hit a lady? She asked him in pain from the kick. Normally I wouldn't, but I'll make an exception, he said and pointed to his right arm. She looked down to see the appendage cut from her body, though she could still feel it there, she even moved her fingers as confirmation. What good is slashing someone if they don't die? She questioned the hat-wearing teen. I'm not a killer like you, though I'm not above it either, some just can't be saved. That doesn't mean I'll kill you, you'd want that with your ideology. La told her, and it seemed like it made her angry as well. Why? If you don't kill me, I could come after you again. She screamed and left her arm behind in the process. La had prepared to retaliate after he blocked the initial strike, but he didn't know the woman had strengthened her arm muscles. Once the punch hit, the man was sent skipping across the dirt, and once he got up he started coughing uncontrollably until blood came out of his mouth. Tuberculosis, He asked the evil woman, and to tell the truth even the devil would have been put off by her smirk. Look who knows their illnesses. Normally, I'd toy with you, but the boss has been calling agents to Alabasta and your heads will make a great gift. She told him, and used her powers to freak him out further. Ms. Checkup Day decided to use her power to upgrade her healing factor to the point of regrowing her missing arm. I did not need to see that. La told her, then used his powers to flip her upside down by motioning his index finger up, tact. The woman was beginning to get annoyed with the teen and his powers at this point. Lucky for her, Trafalgar had to take the time to cough again, which left an opening that she jumped and axe kicked him into the ground. You sure you're a pirate? If you can't beat little old me, you can't survive the boss. The woman continued her taunting of the man until she was slashed diagonally on her chest. Don't underestimate rookie pirates, we're the ones you need to look out for. La coughed out. He didn't show it, but the illness was worse than normal with her powers, and he most likely would have passed out from the pain if he were normal. I hope your medical skills aren't rusty. Shambles. He exclaimed, cutting her head, arm, and legs from her torso. What? Is this supposed to slow me down? She called to him. La just picked her head up. I'm not done yet. Dissection. It was then that La cut out all of her internal pieces along with her bones, and even her brain and eyes. Ms. Checkup Day was now petrified at the man's ruthlessness. He has to be some kind of sadist to lay out someone's organs in front of them. She thought in terror it was even worse when you could still feel everything working even though they were in front of you. Looks like you lose, he said, and made to literally stomp on her brain, but before he could, she passed out from the implication. La felt the lung disease leave his body after she lost consciousness, so it was easy to tell that kid was cured as well. Not only that, but the island was green again with healthy trees and grass. The doctor also saw the cook was free, and smothering their captain. Just what happened during his captain's fight. Naruto vs. Mr. -1 earlier. Naruto charged at the glasses-wearing man and delivered a spin kick to his head which went straight through the man's head. What? Does everyone in the Grand Line have a Logia devil fruit? Naruto said, clearly annoyed as Mr. -1 recreated his head with a chrome look. Merc fruit. With it I've become a Mercury man with the power to change into Mercury at will. Naruto guessed and irritated the man again. Yes, and now that we're fighting, I don't have to listen to your interruptions anymore. Mercury scythe. The man called with his outstretched arm taking the shape of a scythe. Naruto let it pass through him and smirked. I'm a Logia too, but my powers allow me to hit you. Spatial rend. Naruto blasted the man into the dirt, kicking up a large cloud of it in the process. When it cleared, the officer agent wasn't there, but there was a large hole in the ground. Suddenly the man shot out of the ground and hit the blonde with his drill-like arm, Mercury drill. He smiled while adjusting his glasses. If you're a Logia, how come I just hit you? He asked cockily. I can't do it on reflex yet, I can only do it when I can see the attack coming. Naruto explained. After all, since gaining his powers he had focused more on attacking, and even if he could do it on reflex, Seastone could still hurt him as shown with Smoker, so he needed to get hit every now and then so he wouldn't get used to not being hit. How foolish. Being invincible makes being a Logia best. Especially with powers like mine. Those kids immediately started working for us when I threatened to, you threatened them. I'm going to kick your ass. Naruto sped himself up and hit the man in the stomach with his knee. Then he brought it into his face, which broke his glasses. How the hell are you able to hit me? He said while resetting his broken nose. At first he thought it was luck that the pirate hit him the first time, but he did it again, which meant it wasn't a fluke. Spatial distortion. Using it I can basically change you back into a human the moment I hit you. Naruto smirked and punched the man for good measure so he could tell he wasn't lying. Pirates are all so annoying, but the good thing about them is their treasure. Mr. -1 laughed at the blonde. Too bad, we're basically broke right now. Naruto normally would have laughed nonchalantly about their lack of funds, but this was a battle. Fine, having that woman is a nice consolation prize, especially with how she dresses. The man smiled suggestively. If you think that I'm going to let you keep my cook as some kind of toy, you are sorely mistaken. Naruto yelled to the man and rushed again. Mercury Shield. Nova Punch. Naruto's superheated punch melted right through the metal and burned into the side of the man's face. Damn it, you're so irritating. The man jumped into the air with a huge blob of the liquid metal forming from his arms. I'll defeat you with the same move that beat that woman. He called from the air, Mercury Dome. The agent sent the blob at the blonde. It will enclose and wrap around you until you're a statue just like that bitch. He laughed. Don, call my cook a bitch. Naruto shouted back while making no motions to avoid the incoming attack. The blob had closed into a sphere around the blonde and began to compress. I told him what would happen, and he stood there and took his fate. Mr. -1 laughed heartily at the blonde's stupidity. That's when a long black and purple spike rushed out of the dome and stabbed him through the stomach. Space dagger. Naruto's voice sounded from within the sphere. Damn, I almost died. He laughed with his left arm being the weapon. Oh, I forgot that you were on this. He talked to the passed out agent and unceremoniously shook him off of the weapon. Naruto then looked over to his cook's location and was blinded by her bust. Present time. I'm so happy that you saved me, I love you. She said while rubbing his head further into her valley. She would have continued if the other two members of the crew weren't watching. You having fun? Kid asked her, which resulted in the both of them getting punched. You didn't see anything. She growled at them and received nods. Back at the ship, are you sure we weren't attacked? After I beat that nerd, I couldn't see anything. Naruto said, but he was wondering why his cook was blushing so much and his fellow males were hesitant to say anything. Perhaps we should figure it out later. This island is very beautiful, it's too bad that we have to head out for Alabasta. Hawkeye said with the kids being on the ship with them. Upon arriving to the ship, the twins had apologized to them repeatedly for selling them out to the agents. The crew had easily forgiven them for it, seeing that they were forced to in the first place. It wasn't that hard. Also, the entire island seemed to know they were the one that had did it, so they were congratulated on the way to the ship as well. I'm glad we're leaving this place. Naruto said with a disgusted face. Why is that? Those kids seemed fond of us. They wanted us to return one day. Mihawk stated, it's not about them, they're our friends. It's just that those villagers called us heroes, blech. Naruto told them while sticking his tongue out. It isn't that bad, I like being recognized. Bonnie said, wondering what the big deal was. You have no reason to be a pirate then. We didn't save the island for some heroic deed, we did it to save the two of you, and help those kids out. The island was just brought back to life in the process. Law explained to the woman who seemed to understand now. All right, the anchor is back up, let's go already. Kid said, and they set sail toward the island of nothing. The island of nothing. I can understand why it's called the island of nothing. Naruto said as they took in their surroundings, or lack thereof. The entire island was much like Dock Isle, but there weren't any buildings or anything for that matter. Maybe she did send us into a trap. Bonnie offered the crew. No, she wouldn't remember, she's pretending. Naruto told her in all seriousness. Who might you be talking about, travelers? A disembodied voice asked. Did one of you guys say that? Naruto asked his crew and they shook their heads. Ghost. Naruto started frantically running around while his crew had sweat drops. I'm sorry, but I'm no ghost. This might help you. In front of each of you is a pair of glasses that I've laid down for you. The voice told them, and they picked the invisible glasses. Once they put them on, they all, excluding their hysteric captain, saw a town that wasn't there before. That must be better, but maybe you should help that blonde out, a man had told them. He had white hair, but looked around 20, and was wearing a lab coat indicating he might be a scientist. Eventually, the crew caught their captain and learned the man's name was Naza, but despite his appearance he wasn't a scientist, he was an aspiring assistant to a Dr. Vegapunk. Hawkeye knew who that was from his time as a warlord, and told them his limited knowledge on him. I'm amazed at how much you know, Mr. Hawkeye. Most don't know any of the projects he has even begun to work on. Naza started to ramble about the doctor's accomplishments, but by that point the pirates stopped listening. Hey, Naza, can you tell us why everything here was invisible? Kid asked the man. Of course, it's really amazing. Our island's climate creates a special kind of particle that simulates blindness, I know. But it come on, there are islands in One Piece that rain lightning, so keep an open mind. Normally it would be impossible to live like this, but Dr. Vegapunk created the glasses we're wearing. He made them specially designed to filter the particles out. Seriously. That's awesome. Naruto exclaimed while he and Kid started to repeatedly lift their glasses off their face to watch them work. Idiots. Law sighed at their stupidity while heading to a bar. Though no one in the group seemed to realize the foreshadowed individuals on top of one of the buildings, so we meet again, the lead male said, and hopped down with his group entering the bar. All the patrons of the bar were gawking at the pirate crew, seeing Kid, Bonnie, and Naruto scarfing down food like there was no tomorrow. You shouldn't have offered to pay for dinner. You've no idea how much they can eat. Hawkeye consoled the crying man. It's just, I thought it was going to be a plate each. He continued to cry. Though all merriment was halted when the door was kicked in, but the pirate crew seemed unfazed since they were continuing to eat in comfort. Hey, loser, remember me? A familiar voice called to the blonde. After the man stopped talking, Naruto froze. Oh my god, he said in shock, not noticing the man's smirk at being remembered. Kid, don't steal my food, do you wanna die? Naruto exclaimed, not paying any attention to the guy calling him out. Turn around. A female voice said this time. Oh, it's you. What's your name again? Naruto asked the raven-haired teen. Sasuke Uchiha. The man you wrote off on that island of freaks. He gritted out. Oh, yeah, I remember. That was funny when Kid kicked that girl's ass with one punch. He laughed with Kid at the memory. Are you sure that these losers are a crew? Another girl asked. She had red hair sticking out of a black hat with bandages going around it, and a tan tunic. Hey, you got some new members. That's pretty cool. Hey, is your hair naturally that color? Naruto asked while pointing to her head. It doesn't matter if it's my real color, bastard. She said in indignation. It's a dye job. Naruto whispered to Kid. You should watch your mouth. To Yuya, this man is a captain with a bounty of 50 million. A fat teen with orange eyes, and 3 orange tufts of hair on his head and a similar tunic to the now named Yuya. No way he can be one, just look at him. She pointed to the blonde who looked at them with his finger in his nose, before taking it out. Hi. He said as if they didn't see him doing it. Who is this loser? Your newest member. He looked at the man with the large sword. Yeah, that's Hawkeye. He told them. It seems you were correct with this crew, they are fairly weak. I find it miraculous they made it this far. Mihawk stared at them with his eyes piercing through their bodies. If we were I wouldn't have a 93 million berry bounty. Sasuke said as most of those in the bar backed away from him. And, am I supposed to be impressed? We just entered the Grand Line, and we've probably faced more dangers than you have. The only reason you have that is probably because you randomly attack civilians. Naruto said as if he knew. So, seeing as you've tracked me down, do you wanna fight or something? He asked the Uchiha. No, you believe that you are better, but I proved you wrong. My bounty is proof enough. He said as he walked away. I don't like that guy, he's an asshole. Law said finally. Don't worry, if bounties are his measure for strength then he's a fool. Naruto said wisely, spoken like a true captain. Mihawk smirked. You guys are crazy, opposing someone with a higher bounty. Naza told them frantically. We'll be fine. Naruto smirked at the man. 2 days later. The crew had left the island of nothing without causing any mass mayhem, other than emptying out Naza's wallet. I'm so hungry. All 3 of the big eaters on the crew sounded. Out of all the food you ate, you're still hungry? Trafalgar asked them. Yeah, of course we need food all the time. Naruto answered. He then sniffed the air. What's with you? Kid asked. You smell that? It's a small furry animal. Naruto said with a manic smirk. How can you smell? The cook started to ask, until Naruto grabbed the oars and rowed toward the smell. It's here. Naruto jumped off of his ship into a vaguely familiar one, or maybe the hunger was getting to him. Huh, a small walking reindeer was seen on the deck wearing red shorts and a red hat with an X. I found it. Come here. Ah, Luffy. Zoro. They yelled. Eventually Kid saw it and decided to help his captain catch their dinner. They don't seem to be observant. Hawkeye sweat dropped with the cook and doctor. Gotcha. Hey jewelry, let's grill him up. Kid stated. No, we can't just eat him. Naruto pointed out, to which the reindeer sighed in relief. We need to skin him first. Yeah, you're right. They realized. Ah. Chopper. What's with all the yelling? Zoro asked as he came out and saw the spectacle. Oh, hey, Zoro. What are you doing here? Naruto asked. This is Mary, and stop trying to eat our doctor. The swordsman told them. A few hours later. So you guys fought that fatty too? Kid asked the Straw Hats. Yeah, he started chewing on Mary like a snack. Usopp said in a sad voice and put his hand on the makeshift repairs he had done. It's no big deal, I'm sure Mary forgives you guys. As long as you guys are alright, that's all that matters. Naruto smiled. Everyone, besides Luffy, Chopper, and Nami, so optimistic. So, Vivi were heading for Alabasta. Law asked the princess. Yes, all the Baroque Works officer agents will be converging there for the final stand, she explained with her serious face. Great. This is gonna be so cool. Naruto stated. Yeah, fighting in a war is going to be great. Kid said with a sinister smirk. Don't destroy the kingdom in your fights, the Pinkett cook said with a sweat drop. What's the fun in fighting in a war if you can't wreck stuff? The stronger males asked all at once. Just don't do it. She sighed. After a bit of sailing, everyone of the males were, excluding Sanji, Zoro, Hawkeye, and Chopper, were sitting on the railing of Mary trying to catch some food. I can't believe you guys are out of food. How wasteful can you be? Kid and Naruto asked. Hey, you're out of food too, lighten up. Usopp called out. Yeah, but you're the people we mooch off of. Law pointed out to them. Can't argue there. They all said at once, ignoring Karu's cries to let him go since they were using him as bait. Wait, do fish even eat ducks? Luffy asked. No, but he's made of meat, so maybe a shark likes duck. Kid suggested. No, they like to eat humans, so maybe we could use Chopper, he's close to being a human. Naruto offered. Soon they came across a large cloud of smoke. Why is there smoke in the middle of the ocean? Kid asked the others. Nami, what is that thing? Luffy questioned his navigator. It's just steam, she answered. That still doesn't answer why it's in the middle of the sea. Law pointed out to her. There's an undersea volcano under the steam. In about 1,000 years a new island is going to be there, she explained. Really lame. They all said, mocking her for being the only one that knew as they proceeded through it. Once they were on the other side, Kid, Luffy, Law, Naruto, and Usopp were shocked to see some Okama on Karoo. We caught something. Naruto said, that's a weird fish. Luffy stared at the guy, open your eyes. It's an Okama, we can't eat that. Kid explained to them as the Okama let go of Karoo, and immediately started drowning. Thank you for saving me. Do you think I could have a warm bowl of soup? The unknown man asked. No way. We're the ones that need food. They all yelled at him. You can't swim, so does that mean you're a devil fruit user? Trafalgar asked the question on most of their minds. Yes, and seeing that my crew haven't come to rescue me, I'll put on a show for you. He smiled, then smashed his hand into Luffy's face, which made the crews get ready to attack him. Hold on. It's all a part of my act. The man said in Luffy's voice, and he had Luffy's face too. Luffy, you can switch places with people? Naruto asked. No, I ate clone fruit. It allows me to copy someone's face with my right hand, and my face returns to normal with my left. He explained and went around touching everyone's faces. I don't have to hit you. And my face isn't all that changes, my body does too. He told them and changed into Nami while opening his shirt. All the guys were amazed at what was actually underneath Nami's shirts, until the man was punched in the head, which inexplicably turned him back to normal as well. Don't do that, she growled at him. The guys were shouting for an encore from the man, and he cycled through the repertoire of faces he had memorized, but no one noticed Vivi's shocked look at one of the faces. How do you like my act? It's cool. They all then started to do the can while shouting, this ain't no joke. Hey, weirdo, is that your ship? Nami asked the Okama while secretly hoping it was so he would leave. It seems it's time for me to go, my friends, he said with his back turned to them. You can't go. Luffy and Usopp yelled. Yeah, join our crew. Naruto said to the man, I'm sorry, but I can't. I still have something I must do, but remember, friendship is measured by the time you've spent together. He gave them a thumbs up and had tears streaming down his face. He then jumped to his ship. Let's go, men. Yes, sir. Mr. Bon Clay. They shouted. Mr. Bon Clay. The pirates shouted. We just had an enemy on our ship. Law said with a bead of sweat on his face. Vivi, didn't you know what he looked like? Luffy asked the princess. No, I don't know what Mr. 1 looks like either. All I knew was that Mr. 2 was a transvestite, wore a swan coat, and it said, Okama Way, on the back. She cried. Are you stupid? Everyone but Nami asked her. One of his faces was my father's. She realized, this is bad, he could imitate the king. Zoro stated. Not only that, but he has our faces now. Kid brought to their attention, we can't trust each other at this point either. Chopper said worriedly. Luffy. Naruto called, catching everyone's attention. What's my middle name? He asked the teen. I don't know. He answered. You're the Swan. Naruto accused him. I am. Of course you are. My brother would know my middle name. He said. Naruto, you don't even know what the D in you name stands for. Law told his captain. I knew that. He answered. A few minutes later, the crews sailed for a while, for the final stretch to Alabasta. They had also almost caught a sea cat, but before the males could catch for food, Vivi hit them, which allowed it to escape. I really wanted to eat that thing. Luffy said sadly with his brother. Vivi, the weather's calmed down. Nami told her. Good, add that to the sea cat and we've entered into Alabasta's climate zone. Those ships are a sign as well, yes? Mihawk asked her. Soon enough everyone gathered at the back of Mary to see a large amount of ships behind them with the sail carrying the Baroque Works symbol. Baroque Works has this many underlings? Bonnie questioned. No one in particular. We should get rid of them now then. Usopp shivered at their sheer numbers. Don't bother. Naruto said with his serious face on, with his first mate standing next to him. The girls of course thought this made him seem hot, but the guys understood that they would be wasting energy. The pirates were then seen tying bandages to their left arms in order to tell who was who in case they were replaced by Mr. 2, of course they had to explain to those who weren't there during his visit. All done. From now on our left arms will bear the sign of our fellowship. Luffy called with everyone's left arms pointed inward to form a circle. Okay, time to go ashore. To eat. And then we'll go to Alabasta. Luffy added with his brother cheering for food. Both crews didn't realize that someone very important was about cross their path. Port of Nanohana. I smell food. Naruto called as he ran with Luffy toward the smell. Hey, guys wait. Kid called to them. Wow, Flamehead is acting mature. Nami asked. Make sure you grab me some steaks. He called, resulting in him getting punched. Spice Bean. Restaurant. Currently inside the restaurant, Smoker was conversing with a man that was wearing an orange hat with a smiley and frowny face on it, a red beaded necklace, black shorts, and no shirt. That is until Luffy burst through the wall, crashing into Smoker and the man. Naruto, I found it. Awesome, Luffy. Eat as much as you can. They said to each other, not realizing what they did as they dug in. Who the hell did that? The man said as he exited the hole in the wall, but froze when he saw the two pirates, Luffy, Naruto, hey it's me, Strafut, and Uzumaki. Smoker barged in and trampled over the man. You two actually showed up. He said, though they seemed more intent on eating than listening to him. Bait a minute, Doker. Naruto said in a voice muffled by the food in his mouth while Luffy's eyes widened considerably. Bow trap. He said. Both pirates then shoved the food in their mouths and ran out of the restaurant. None of them noticed the man got up and chased after them. Outside. Eventually the pirates had amassed a horde of marines with Smoker and Tashigi in there too. Hey, look, there's Naruto and Luffy. Usopp pointed out, with all the male pirates wearing turbans to protect their skin from the sun, and the girls were wearing dancer outfits, what you should expect from sending Sanji shopping. Yes, and it seems they've brought a large amount of marines with them. Hawkeye said with a calm tone despite the severity of the situation. Oh, no, Kid spoke out. They forgot my steaks. Is that really the priority here? Bonnie asked him. Guys, go back to the restaurant and get my steaks. Kid yelled before getting bopped over the head again. Hey, there are the guys. Luffy told his brother. Good, let's get out of here. Naruto stated as they both ran to the crew's location. Lose them first, you idiots. Zoro screamed at them. You won't get away. Smoker told them as he sent his smoke fist at them, but it stopped just short of hitting Luffy because a wall flame halted the fist. You again? Smoker asked the same guy from the restaurant. We can go ahead and fight, but it'll take too long. We're too evenly matched. The man said with small flames coming off of his body, though it didn't seem to bother him. You still getting into trouble, Luffy, Naruto? He asked the two captains who had looks of shock. Ace. They asked. Ace. Is it really you? Luffy asked, happy to see the teen along with his brother, though the crews would have liked to know the connection between the three men. There isn't any time for us to be talking. You guys need to get out of here. I'll take care of the marines. We'll talk later. Ace smirked at them as the two captains commanded their crews to get back to the ships. Who is that with the pirates? It looks like Hawkeye, Smoker thought while staring at the pirates' retreating forms, and got ready to fight Ace. Aboard Mary. After arriving at the ship, Vivi had sent Karoo straight to Alubarna to give her father a message explaining the situation. Remember to conserve your water, and be careful, Karoo, she told her pet duck, and he saluted. Karoo then took off toward his destination, while drinking his water at a fast pace. I said conserve your water. She yelled at him. So who was that guy that helped us out anyway? I couldn't see him. Bonnie asked her captain. Huh, oh yeah, that was our big brother. He stated nonchalantly with a goofy smile that was shared by Luffy. Your brother? Law asked. He was puzzled like the rest of the crew, mostly because Naruto and Ace didn't seem to be alike. Go figure. 3 brothers who are all pirates, and 8 devil fruits. Sanji pointed out to everyone. Yeah, Ace sure was great. Even when Naruto and I ate devil fruits, we couldn't beat him in a fight. Luffy and Naruto laughed at the memories. Wow, the both of you are monsters, and you lost to a normal person. Kid asked with a sweat drop. Exactly, we were really weak back then. Naruto laughed out even harder. I guess the big brother of two monsters is an even bigger monster. Usopp stated with a deadpan expression. Yeah, but that was a long time ago. I'm sure we could beat him now. Luffy said in confidence. Who do you think you can beat, Luffy? Ace asked as he appeared out of nowhere, and landed on the banister of Mary in the same spot Luffy was occupying, which booted him off. Hello, everyone. Thank you for looking after these two. I know they're a handful. The shirtless man said while bowing to everyone, though Bonnie had her finger pointed at him. Hey, what's your problem? Zoro asked the girl. I didn't know they knew someone so famous. She exclaimed. The three brothers looked at each other with questioning glances. We do. They asked. Yes. You're Porgas D. Ace, 2nd Division Commander of the Whitebeard Pirates. She pointed out to them. Oh, you know Pops? He asked. They don't, but I do. Hawkeye spoke up from his position. Hawkeye? Well, I can't say that I'm surprised. Naruto always did get the most peculiar friends, he said with mirth in his voice. Peculiar. The Galactics thought collectively. So, if you're a part of the Whitebeard Pirates, what are you doing here? Nami asked him. Well, the main reason I'm here is to track down one of my former underlings. He started calling himself Blackbeard. He committed an unforgivable sin for a pirate, crewmate killing. Ace said with anger hidden in his voice. Both crews wondered how anyone would kill their own crewmate, and run like that. The guy must have been a real coward. But then I started hearing about you guys. I decided to take a side trip. I wanted to ask you guys, if you wanted to join Whitebeard. Nope. They answered immediately. Bonnie grabbed her captain and started to shake him. How could you turn that down? Whitebeard's the strongest man in the world. Calm down, it's no big deal. Naruto said calmly despite his cook shaking him. Do you want him as an enemy? It was bound to happen. We became pirates to find One Piece ourselves. I don't want to be under someone. Naruto stated. I knew you'd both say that. You always were stubborn. It didn't hurt to ask though. Ace laughed at his brothers. Before I go, I want you guys to have these. He then tossed them some pieces of paper. What is it? Luffy asked while he looked it over, noticing it had nothing written on it. Don't you want it? Ace asked. Yeah, I want it. Make sure you keep it. That paper will bring us together again. Oh, and thanks you for looking after my brothers. They must have caused you a lot of grief. It was no trouble at all. Kid said, seeing as he was the first one recruited on Naruto's crew, and knew him the best so far other than his brother of course. Good. Keep it up. I want them in one piece when we meet again, but I'm sure you girls will keep Blondie together. Ace smiled. What? Ace, what do you mean? Naruto asked, not noticing the girl's blushes. Don't worry about it. I'll be seeing you. He then jumped to a one-man boat that was docked to the side of the ship. Aren't you going to stay? Luffy asked. Sorry, but I have to keep tracking Blackbeard. He seems to be trying to make a name for himself, so he'll be on the move quite frequently. Ace said while untying his boat from Mary. After he finished setting up his ride, Ace turned to the ship one last time. Stay alive, you two. The next time we see each other will be on the high seas, he told them as he set sail. Wow, that's their brother. I thought he'd be a lot different. Nami said surprised. I wish he was my brother. Chopper stated from atop Law's hat. You guys are terrible. Maybe you should have gone with him then. Naruto stated with an angry look on his face. Hawkeye just stood at the side and stared at Ace's retreating from. I have a bad feeling about this, but we have to deal with one problem at a time, he thought. What the pirates saw next shocked them all, except Mihawk. Ace single-handedly took out 5 Baroque works ships with one attack. So, what's with the paper he gave you? Usopp asked the brothers. Don't know, but Ace said to keep it, and that's what I plan to do. Luffy told the long nose while Nami sewed the paper into Luffy's hat. Naruto just made himself intangible, and had the paper slip into his hand. You shouldn't do that. What if it messes with your hand? Chopper asked worried. I'll be fine. Naruto stated. What do you mean? Law talked some sense into him. He pleaded with his colleague. He'll be fine. He stated like his captain. So what's with the cloaks? Naruto asked in a confused voice. You have to wear them in the desert or your skin will be burnt to a crisp. Vivi elaborated for him. No way. Naruto said. See, I told you he wouldn't go for it. I don't want to wear this thing either. Kid said in agreement. Your skin is too pale, you'll get burned easily, flame head. Nami explained to him again. Hey, shut up. Do you want to say that again? Sanji told him threateningly. So what if I do? Kid asked back. Before a fight could break out, Sanji overheard the girls tell the two captains that they had to wear the cloaks, and that they were going to cover up as well. You're going to cover up? You bastard, I thought we were gonna fight. They both yelled. Are they alright? Chopper asked. They'll be fine. Zoro told the youngest member of the crew. So, Vivi were heading for this Yuba place, right? Mike asked the woman. Yes, that's where the rebel camp should be. The plan is to go see their leader. She told him. Yeah, then we're gonna kick his ass. Luffy said. No, we're going to reason with him. We want to prevent any hostilities. She said, and if that doesn't work, we'll kick his ass. Naruto finished with his own commentary. Not to shoot you down, Vivi, but Naruto may be right. With as many rebels as you said, there is a high probability that fighting will be the only solution. Law pointed out to the girl. It's not that he wanted to discourage her, it's just that her naivety could get them into trouble. There won't be any fighting. Once we reach Yuba, you'll see the damage that Baroque Works has caused. They'll surely understand if we explain the situation to them, she said. What she said garnered more calm expressions from the crews, and one manic grin from someone kid. Unbeknownst to the pirates, their enemies were beginning to gather for their final set of orders to start the endgame. Arumalu. So this is Yuba? Luffy asked with his hand shielding his eyes. It looks empty. No, this isn't Yuba. This is Arumalu, aka the Green City. Yuba is northwest, and it's about a half-day hike. Vivi corrected the strafutted teen. Green. There isn't anything green about it. Kid said in surprise at the ridiculous name for the wasteland covered in sand. Wow, the building got overtaken by the sand. Bonnie pointed out to the group. Awesome. I'd totally live here, maybe even eat a few scorpions. Naruto said with his tongue out. You'd die, you don't know the first thing about preparing scorpion. Sanji told him. No, I wouldn't. I'd build up an immunity. That isn't how it works. Hey, Luffy, what's with the seals? Kid asked, seeing the teen surrounded by what looked like a seal turtle. They're my disciples. Now throw a punch with your right hand. He told them and they followed. Eventually the group had to trudge on, and leave behind the Kung Fu Jugans by bribing them with food. I don't see why we had to give them our food. We should have taken them with us as an extra food source. Kid told everyone, if you want to find a way to eat through a shell, be my guest. Mihawk spoke up from behind. Hey, shut up, Kid retorted. Wonderful comeback, Neanderthal, Law said with an annoyed look on his face. Don't start something you can't finish, Doc. Kid turned on him. Leave me alone, it's too hot to be fighting. Law said while wiping sweat off his face. How could this have happened? You said the rain stopped, right? How long ago was that? Usopp asked the princess. It was roughly 2 years ago. You see, these men were hauling a large bag through a lubarna, but the wagon they were using couldn't support it. Of course the wagon gave out, which spilled the contents of the bag. Vivi explained and thought back to that day. So, what was in the bag? Bonnie asked. Dance powder. The brunette answered simply. So people had dance fever or something. Kid asked, confused like the other dumber members of the crew. No, it's called the powder that summons Rain. Nami corrected him. I've heard of that. It was made by some scientist in a country that never gets rain. Law added to the conversation. Exactly. The powder turns into mist, and once it rises into the sky it makes ice particles grow, then fall as rain, the would-be meteorologist said. So, it's a mysterious phenomenon. The guys said, still not understanding what she was talking about. That sounds like something this country would need. Usopp said. Yes, but there was a problem with it. Any country's upwind wouldn't get any regular rainfall. Nami said grimly. I see. The mist would steal the regular rain from clouds to add to theirs. Mihawk looked up in realization. Not only that, but the country's upwind of the original one retaliated in anger. Many died in the battle afterwards, leading to the government banning its production. Nami continued. And when my people saw the powder being delivered to my father, they assumed he was the one causing the drought. Vivi sadly said. It's natural to blame those in power for the misfortune of the nation's people. It's in human nature. Hawkeye said while only walking ahead and not looking back. So, if that's true, it's your dad's fault, Vivi. Luffy yelled just to get a kick in the head by his cook. It was all a part of Crocodile's plan. He even planted dance powder in the palace to further put distrust in the king. So many lives were taken in riots, and towns were destroyed. All because of that man. Vivi said as she picked a skull out of the sand and placed it to her forehead. It was then that a nearby house was demolished, and it was revealed that Luffy, Usopp, Sanji, Kid, and Naruto were the ones that did it. Feel better? Law asked them. No, we'll feel better when Crocodile gets his ass kicked. Luffy answered him. Then we shouldn't dawdle. Mihawk pointed out to them. A few hours later, the pirates and princess were trudging through the scorching hot desert. Everyone, including Hawkeye, was exhausted and panting. Day 2. I'm seriously at my wit's end. I can't tell if I'm dreaming or if it's all real. My companions are most likely plotting against me, so I'll just have to take them out first. Naruto spoke to himself despite everyone hearing him. Why is it so hot? Bonnie complained about the heat while bringing her hand up to block the sun. It is a desert. Law told her simply. I need some water. Luffy said, grabbing the water barrel. Don't take too much, Luffy, just enough to wet your lips. Nami told her captain. Instead of listening to her, Luffy proceeded to drink about 3/4 of the water barrel. Hey, that was more than a sip. Usopp smacked Luffy in the back of the head, which made him spit all of the water out of his mouth. You just wasted all that water. Jewelry then smacked the long nose. Don't blame me, he yelled back, it's the desert madness. Naruto jumped in, spouting nonsense. They have no willpower. Kid said with Law agreeing, until he turned around and saw Kid dragging himself along on the sandy ground. Neither do you. The doctor told the first mate. How can you stand this? Hawkeye asked the green-haired swordsman. I just try to stay out of anything they get into. Zoro replied while pulling Chopper along since the reindeer was accustomed to the cold. I wouldn't be so thirsty if we ate. Sanji, let's eat the pirate BX lunches you and Jewelry made. Luffy said to his cook. Can't. It's up to Vivi, she sets the pace. Sanji told him, come on, Vivi, let's eat, I need energy. Luffy pleaded with the princess. We can't, we're only a fourth of the way to Yuba. She told him, so, you're gonna be stubborn, huh? Luffy rhetorically asked, before running over to his brother and whispering something into his ear. Vivi, can we please eat something soon? I'm getting really hungry. Naruto asked the girl the same question his brother asked with different results. Before getting to Alabasta, Zoro had recapped on everything that led to them getting Vivi from Whiskey Peak, and it included how the girls acted much more lenient around the blonde than them, with Nami being the example. Luffy's idea to get food had worked as he saw the princess blush at his asking, and decided to let everyone eat at the next set of crags they came across. Do you have some magic power that makes girls nicer? 'Cause if you do, you have to teach it to us. Usopp told the clueless blonde. The downside to Luffy's triumph was that he had to pull all of the supplies with him, while everyone was ahead of him. Oh, hey, there are crags dead ahead. Usopp pointed out to the group, and immediately Luffy raced ahead of everyone, excited about getting his food. The others continued to walk rather than waste energy on running to their temporary rest stop, but it wasn't too long until the strafutted teen ran back yelling hysterically, "Guys! There's dying birds all over the place. Chopper, you and Traffle Guy need to help 'em," he yelled. Luffy and Chopper had ran off before Vivi got the chance to warn them that the birds Luffy saw were called evil herons, birds that pretended to be dying so travelers would take pity on them. The bird would then rob the travelers and be on their merry way. "Those are some smart birds," Kid said. "Yeah, you think they taste any good?" Naruto asked him. "Hey, it's them. Give us back our stuff, you jerks." Luffy yelled to the birds who were taunting him by drinking water. They would have continued if it wasn't for Hawkeye slashing his sword at them, with the aftershock of the slash beheading 3 of them. The action caused the rest to run in fear. "Hey, if you're gonna run, leave our stuff first." Luffy chased after the remaining birds. It wasn't too long until Luffy was running back screaming his head off with a camel running next to him, and a giant purple lizard chasing after them. "Hey, what's that thing?" Law asked calmly while unsheathing his sword. "He is such a huge magnet for trouble," Zoro said while pulling his swords out with Sanji taking a puff of smoke, and Naruto and Kid cracked their knuckles. "Be careful, giant Sandora dragons are supposed to be ferocious," Vivi warned the 6 pirates. Her warning wasn't really needed though because it only took a single attack from each one of them to fell the giant monster. "You'd think something this big would put up more of a fight," Naruto said from atop the dead lizard's head. "It isn't so bad, here's our dinner," Sanji told them, earning a round of "yeah" from all of them. "Man, that was just overkill." Usopp sweated at the scene. "It never had a chance." Nami told him. "It was all because of Naruto." Bonnie chimed in on her crush captain's behalf, before running over to help prepare the food. "Wait, I'm sure the others helped too." Usopp face faulted. "So, Luffy, where'd you get the camel?" Zoro asked while eating some meat from the lizard. "While I was chasing the birds I saw him running away from the purple thing, so I ran too," he explained to his first mate. "Well, it was a stroke of luck, it looks like he used to belong to someone judging by the saddle," Hawkeye pointed out. "Great. This'll make traveling much easier," Kid said, but those hopes were dashed when Luffy tried to ride it, with the result being the camel biting his head. "Ow, what gives?" the Straw Hat Captain asked. "He says that he's glad you helped him, and he'll be willing to give rides. But only to the girls." Chopper translated the camel's grunts. This of course didn't sit right with the guys, so they proceeded to beat up the camel. Of course, just like the seductress she is, Nami sweet-talked, eyelashes, into letting her and Vivi on, though it was a hollow victory since Jewelry took advantage of the 2-seater camel. What the Pinkett cook did was feign exhaustion, and complain about no space on the camel. Most of the guys saw through her ruse except for Sanji, no surprise, Luffy, since he was knocked out by a sedative because he ate a crazy cactus, and Naruto. All she needed to do was give Sanji a quick no for his offer to be picked up, and gladly accepted her captain's offer for the exact same thing. Which was why she was currently nuzzling into his back to irritate the navigator, and princess to a certain degree, as they approached Yuba. Yuba. Everyone thought that Yuba would have been their shining light, but everyone was shocked to see it being destroyed in a freak sandstorm. "It's just like in Arumalu," Hawkeye said with more visible anger since he knew just what could cause this, but decided to let everyone else find out on their own. "Where is the oasis, Vivi?" Law asked her just to see terror threatening to spill out of her eyes. "It was in town. But the sand has overtaken everything," she choked out. "I just want some water," Kid bluntly stated, which earned him a punch to the head. "Oh, travelers. I'm very sorry, but the oasis has dried up. It isn't all we're famous for though. You're welcome to stay at any of our inns, an old thin man with a white fluffy mustache told them. He had a shovel in his hand and appeared to have been digging holes in the sand. Hey, old man, you wouldn't happen to know where the rebels are, would you? Naruto asked the man. Suddenly his hospitable attitude did a major turn as he looked furious at them. Why would you want to know that? You aren't trying to join those fools, are you? He asked while throwing various things at them, not that it bothered the Logia user. Those fools have left Yuba. He told them, which shocked everyone since they took all this time getting here, ever since the oasis had dried up from the constant storms. Their new base is in Cateria. This new information shocked Vivi the most. Vivi, where's Cateria? Luffy asked the princess. It's a town near Nanohana. She told them. Nanohana. So we came here for nothing? Bonnie asked in anger. Wait, Princess Vivi. The old man asked the blue-haired girl. Hold on, Vivi's not a princess. Luffy tried to deny even though it was obvious that the man knew her. It turned out that the man was someone from Viv's childhood, and a family friend. The man, named Toto, was one of the few people left in the kingdom to still believe in the king despite all the supposed evil he has done. Of course, he allowed the group of pirates to stay at an inn until morning, so they could start the journey back to Nanohana in order to get to Cateria. So, do you really believe that you can get the oasis back? Naruto asked with his brother crouched next to him, while watching the old man dig. I do. Yuba is a strong town, it would never lose to the sand. Toto told them in confidence. Okay, I'll help you out. Luffy started to dig along with his brother, and in the process were filling Toto's and each other's holes in the process. In the morning the pirates were all set to get to Cateria, after bidding Toto farewell, and get small barrels water in the two captains' case, they were off to a good start. That is until Luffy plopped down next to a dead tree with a blank expression on his face. Hey, Luffy, come on. Bonnie angrily called back to him. She really didn't want to go all the way back to Nanohana. Nah, I quit. He stated in a nonchalant voice. You, what? She started to get ready to punch him until Hawkeye stopped her. Let's hear what he has to say. He told her. Luffy, we don't have time for this. If we don't stop the rebels, thousands will die in the war. Sanji told him. Vivi. Luffy called to the princess. I want to kick Crocodile's ass. Going to Cateria won't change anything. There's no way we can stop the rebels in time, he explained. You know the kid is pretty smart. When he wants to be anyway. Kid said with the others agreeing. Do you really believe that you can stop a war that has 1 million people fighting in it, and keep anyone from dying? He asked her, and the princess didn't know how to respond. That's naive, he said. Of course I don't want anyone to die. What's wrong about that? The normally quiet girl yelled. The Straw Hat Captain just looked at her and simply said, people die. Vivi was about to hit him if it wasn't for Naruto holding her arm back. Luffy's right. You're prepared to risk your life, but not ours. You should know better than that. He told her before letting her hand go. Vivi, tell us where Crocodile is. Luffy told her. A few minutes later, the pirates were now heading to Rainbase, Crocodile's base of operations, in order to take the fight to him. Without knowing that the mastermind's plan, Operation Utopia, was already underway. There, I can see Rainbase. Mihawk said using his great eyesight from his epithet. Yeah, now we can kick Crocodile's butt. Luffy shouted. That was awesome, Hawkeye. Stop yelling. Your voice is grating on my ears. He told the boy. Hey, Usopp, did you finish making it? Nami asked the long nose. Oh, yeah, it's finished. Say hello to the Kleem attacked. Usopp said as he presented the girl with the 3 blue sticks. So, that's the weapon you asked for. Some sticks. The pink-haired cook snickered. Yeah, so what do you have? She asked, remembering the cook mentioning that she asked the sniper for a weapon as well. Well, I actually didn't get to add the other functions to the yet. Usopp said and handed her a pair of gauntlets. So what can they do? She asked. The boy then seemed kind of reluctant to answer. Here just read these you need them. He told them and handed instructions for their weapons. Please, the girls don't need those. They've got a prince to save them. Sanji said with a cheesy smile. Move it, prince. Zoro told him. You think Baroque Works knows we're coming? Law asked Vivi. Well, it's a possibility. Mr. Two knows what we all look like, she said. If that's true, we should just wreck the place until we find them. Kid offered. No. Vivi pleaded while hanging off him. Okay, just get off of me, he told her. We should be careful. If they are in Rainbase, they could tell Crocodile and then we'd be in trouble. Usopp told them. Let's kick Crocodile's ass. Luffy yelled. Have you even been listening? The sniper smacked his captain. I think Luffy's right. Plans are just going to waste time, we have to get to Crocodile. Vivi stated. Please, you actually think either of these crew come up with plans? Mihawk asked as he gestured to the pirates. From what he's seen and knows since joining, both captains do things on a whim. Hey, we can make plans. We just don't want to. Both brothers said. Of course you can. Hawkeye sighed. Rainbase. Inside a Rainbase restaurant we find Smoker and Tashigi sitting at the counter with drinks in their hands. Why did we come to Rainbase, Captain Smoker? The ensign asked her superior, with both not noticing that Luffy, Usopp, and Kid had just busted in. Water. Luffy yelled. No, I want my steaks first, you didn't get my steaks from that last restaurant. Kid told the other teen as they scrambled for chairs, which were right by the two Marines. Call it a hunch. There is something going on here, that's underneath the rebellion. Smoker told her, ignoring the cries of water and steaks next to him. You think it has something to do with Crocodile? She asked. Maybe, but we can't know for sure. There's also the Straw Hats and Galactics to factor into this, we'll just have to wait until they make a move, he said as he and Tashigi finally decided to turn and see what the commotion was. At the same time Luffy and Usopp looked over to them as well, and they were so shocked they spit a huge amount of water, from the barrel they had gotten, into the faces of the two Marines before they ran away, leaving Kid behind on the process. Hey, where are you guys going? He asked with some steak in his mouth, he then realized who was next to him. Kid just stared at them calmly, grabbed his mountain of steaks and left. Get back here, you pirates. Smoker yelled as he ran after them. Tashigi had to stay behind to pay for the barrels of water and the steaks the pirates took. How the hell did they notice me? I was acting so calm. Kid said in actual surprise. It isn't that hard, you have pale skin and red hair. And being calm doesn't make you invisible. Usopp pointed out. You're one to talk. Look at that nose, no human has a nose that long. Kid argued. I keep telling you, I got this from my mother. Usopp told him. Forget that, how are we gonna lose him? Kid asked. Luffy gained a thoughtful look. I have an idea. Gum gum stamp. Luffy aimed his attack at Kid's steaks, which were launched at Smoker. Smoker had to disperse to avoid the food items which ended up slowing him down. No, Luffy, I'm going to kill you. Kid said as he ran and strangled the teen at the same time, but we lost him. Luffy told him despite being strangled. In no time at all the three pirates had Smoker back on their tails with a whole bunch of low-level Marines. Hey, look, it's the guys. If we're all together we can just head for Crocodile. Usopp said as they all ran towards the cruise. What are you guys stupid? You led them right to us. Naruto scolded them. Before he was kicked by Sanji, you did the same thing. He told his fellow blonde. But, Mr. Bushido, we're leaving Chopper behind. Vivi told the green-haired swordsman, since the reindeer doctor left to relieve himself. He'll be fine. We've got to get out of here. He told her in response. So, Hawkeye, you really joined up with these pirates? yelled to the soon-to-be former warlord of the sea. Yes, so far they've been very impressive, he replied to the Navy man. You'd revoke your status. Just for them. He asked again, do what you will. Being a warlord was just a way for me to kill time. He answered, finishing the conversation and put all of his focus into running with his crew. When he got back, he had come in at the end of some conversation, but only heard, split up, so Hawkeye did as commanded, even though he didn't know where to rendezvous with them. Sanji, Bonnie, Nami, and Usopp were one group, but they had split up when the cook sent them ahead to deal with the small fry marines since Smoker decided to chase after the brothers who'd paired up. Zoro and Kid were basically laying waste to the marines after they sent Vivi ahead. This is great. Just standing around beating up marines in the sun, what a perfect day. Kid sighed while beating up the marines with their own weapons in his golem hand. Enough talk, keep fighting. Zoro interrupted his daydream. Roronoa, and Eustace. A female voice called to the two pirates. Oh, great, it's her. They both said and then looked at each other. You know her? They asked. Yeah, I had to get past her to free Bonnie from prison. Kid explained. I fought her in Logatown, he told him. Don't ignore me, she yelled at them. I can't fight her. Zoro said as he ran. She looked too much like Kuina. Still not strong enough. Sorry, Kid said as he ran too. With Kid self-dubbed Wimpy 3, they were running for their lives from Baroque Works agents that recognized their pictures. Can't you turn them into kids or something? Nami asked the other female. They're out of range, and if I got in range they'd shoot at me. She told her, then be a shield. Don't worry, I'll take care of Naruto. She told her. Like hell you will. She yelled at the navigator. Hey, maybe we should focus on getting away. Usopp piped up over the love squabble. Stay out of this, they yelled, making the sniper shirk back. The trio were just about to be shot when Zoro came out of nowhere and kicked one of them in the side of the head, starting a domino effect, toppling all the agents. Zoro, wasn't Vivi with you and Flamehead? Nami asked her crewmate. We sent her ahead. Where's Doc and Hawkeye? Kid answered, then asked. They can take care of themselves, Kid. Naruto said with his brother next to him, appearing out of thin air. Couldn't you have lost Smoker first? Zoro asked them. It doesn't matter, let's get Crocodile. Luffy shouted as they ran into Rain Dinner's, Crocodile's casino, with Smoker right behind. They didn't know that Hawkeye was just perched above on a building. Until he could find his crew, he'd have to wait. Law was just hid in town. He didn't feel like getting caught in a trap, so he would be there for the escape, much like how Sanji and Chopper were devising a way to escape. Underneath Rain Dinner's, once the pirates made it into the casino, they decided the best way to maintain a low profile was to yell for Vivi and Crocodile. Of course, that was short-lived when Smoker busted in and started to chase them again. They were basically running around until some escorts had told them to go to the VIP room. They were led down a corridor that was forked with one way saying, VIP, and the other saying, Pirates. They idiotically went down the pirate path, which ended up with them inside a cage along with Smoker. That trap was ingenious. It fooled us so easily. The guys minus Zoro said, genuinely impressed with the trap. It was not ingenious, you just have gullible hearts. Only an idiot would go down the pirate path when you're pirates. Nami said. If that were true, why'd you go down the pirate path? Zoro asked her and got hit for it. Something's wrong. I feel really weak. Luffy said. Now that you mention it, I feel a little funny too. Naruto said, without noticing the thing he was doing in tandem with Luffy. Their hands were touching the cage. Smoker then used his jutsu to hit the brother even though normal attacks shouldn't have had any effect on them. HMPH, Uzumaki, you should already have realized that this is a seastone cage. How do you command someone as strong as Hawkeye? Smoker asked in disappointment. Seastone. Again. Naruto asked and had to explain to those who didn't know about it. Did you seriously think I would still be here, if it wasn't made of sea stone? I would have escaped by now if I could. Smoker said. Zoro was just about to draw a sword when a voice cut across the room. You know, since you all are going to die together, you should try and get along. A smooth voice said. Everyone in the cage then saw a man in a large green fur coat that hung off his shoulders, an orange-black striped vest over a peach shirt with a blue scarf. He also had dark brown suit pants and black shoes with gold buckles. The most noticeable thing about him was the large stitched scar going across the bridge of his nose and his missing left hand that had a golden hook in its place. Crocodile. Smoker said with contempt in his voice. So, he's another warlord. He looks pretty tough. Kid voiced his opinion on the man. The girls had decided to hide behind their crush while he just sized Crocodile up. Ah, Captain Smoker, you're every bit of a loose cannon the government made you out to be. Too bad you'll have to be killed with the Straw Hats and Galactics. Don't worry though, we still need our guest of honor. I actually just sent my partner after her, pray she takes her time. Crocodile told them in a cocky voice. Outside, Vivi had taken down a considerable amount of Baroque Works agents, before she was cornered. Luckily for her, her childhood guardian Pell the Falcon showed up and decimated them with his devil fruit power of the Tweet Tweet Fruit, model Falcon. It was unlucky when Ms. All Sunday showed up after he defeated the weaker soldiers, and was close to defeating Pell with her powers of the Bloom Bloom Fruit. You now realize that speed and power are useless against me, she told him and was about to defeat him when a slash came flying at her, breaking her concentration. If you truly believe that, try your powers on me and see if you win. Hawkeye said as he came to the rescue. Mr. Hawkeye, Vivi said in joy at one of her friends coming to help. In all honesty, the man didn't know if he'd be much help, since he had orders from his captain to not severely injure her, and most of his attacks would kill someone. He'd have to lessen the power of some strikes. So even the great Hawkeye would stoop so low. Just to save a princess, and her soldier. The woman told him, though on the inside she was afraid. She knew she stood little to no chance at defeating him. Of course, that's why our crews are here in the first place, he told her in his always serious voice. He then drew Yuru, in a vain hope that she'd flee rather than fight him. He had no such luck. Instead, the woman used her powers to try and hold his arm in place with multiple arms growing out of his shoulder. Hawkeye then displayed the strength that made him a warlord as he easily overpowered the arms and launched a weak slash at her. She dodged, and was shocked to see the slash continue through 3 more buildings before it stopped. It would behoove you to give up. I'd prefer not to harm you, Captain's orders and all. Mahawk told her. Ms. All Sunday was surprised that the blonde had ordered his subordinate to not harm her, but she could use this to her advantage, especially since the man took a good chunk of their building off with that slash. She just needed him closer to the edge. I can't give up. If I do, Crocodile will just kill me. She told him, my captain wouldn't allow that. In fact, I believe he wants to fight him personally. He told her as they started to circle around each other in order to keep the enemy in their sights. Unfortunately, Hawkeye didn't realize that she was edging toward the princess, until she grabbed her and proceeded to grow arms from the swordsman's legs in order to shove him off the building. She then broke Pell's back like she tried to do before Hawkeye intervened. The woman then took Vivi without any resistance to rain dinners to meet Crocodile and her friends. Underneath. Usopp, look, I'm Sanji. Hey, did you eat all the meat? Luffy acted like his cook, which made every male, besides the sleeping Zoro and Smoker, laugh their heads off. Hey, watch me. Z's. It's morning. Naruto said while acting like the sleeping swordsman. Come on, this is serious. Nami said while hitting all of them except Naruto and Smoker. Well, you're a spirited young lady. Crocodile told the girl with a smirk on his face. Damn straight, just enjoy your sense of control. When we get out of here, these guys are going to kick your ass. She told him, getting a round of, yeah, from Luffy and Naruto. Your crew seems to trust the both of you a great deal, but trust is overrated, he told them. Were you not held enough as a child? Bonnie asked him in anger and was making a fist at him. It was then that Ms. All Sunday came in with Vivi. After a bit of talking, the Bluenet rushed the man and ended up decapitating him. Awesome, Vivi took him out. Kid cheered with the rest. Idiot, do you really think a warlord could be beaten so easily? Why Tashigi is so fixated on you and Roronoa, I'll never know. Smoker told the red-haired teen. It was then that the pirates learned about the man's powers of the sand fruit, and Naruto was excited about fighting another Logia user. Apparently, according to Ms. All Sunday, their plan had begun. It entailed getting everyone so riled up over false information until they exploded and fought each other, and so far it was working. The Royal Army was fortifying itself for the rebels' incoming assault. Wow, he's on smart bastard. Kid admitted, with everyone thinking along the same lines. Crocodile then did a smug speech about waiting for this day to come, and all the hardships he had to go through. And as one last douche move, he threw the key to the cage into a pit of banana gators, where one ate the key before leaving and mixing in with the others, making it impossible to tell one from the other. It's sad, Ms. Wednesday, you would have had a better chance at stopping me if your country wasn't so ignorant. Much like that old fool in Yuba. Crocodile said as he laughed. Wait, the old man, what about him? Naruto asked the man. Did you really think it was possible for sandstorms to hit the same place over and over again? Crocodile asked and showed a small sandstorm in his hand. That was you. Naruto yelled at him. He liked the old man, and he'd get revenge for him if it was the last thing he did. Yeah, so what? That oasis is dead and he foolishly clings to it. Idiots like that deserve what's coming to them. Crocodile said as he walked out of the slowly flooding room. Vivi, get us out of here. Luffy yelled to her, begging for your life, Straw Hat. He asked the teen. If you don't, who's gonna kick his ass? Luffy asked the princess. Don't be so full of yourself, fish bait. Crocodile told him, you're the one who's a minnow. Luffy countered the man. It was then that a banana gator busted in and attacked Vivi, who was helpless against it. When it looked like it would kill Vivi, a baby transponder snail rang in Ms. All Sunday's pocket. Hello, hey, is this thing on? A familiar voice asked from over the device. Yes. What is it? She asked. Oh, I can hear you. Good. I've never used a baby transponder snail before, the mysterious voice said, making idle chatter. Crocodile was beginning to get annoyed. Hurry up and state your business. Oh, I remember you from Little Garden. This is Restaurant Le Crap, he said, which shocked the warlord. Restaurant Le Crap? Jewelry asked. Only one guy talks like that. Zoro said. San MPH. Luffy almost said if Usopp didn't cover his mouth so he wouldn't reveal that it was Sanji on the other end. You. Who are you? Crocodile yelled. Me. Just call me Mr. Prince. Prince replied to the irate man. Mr. Prince. What an idiot. Kid sighed while everyone, other than Smoker, was yelling for Prince. They then heard a gunshot and a different voice answer the snail. Crocodile then proceeded out of the chamber in order to see if Sanji was actually dead, but not before stopping to obstruct Vivi from getting help for the pirates by knocking her out. A few minutes later, eventually, Vivi had woken and tricked the gator into acting as a stepping stone to reach the unbroken half of the stairs. After she left, she soon returned with Sanji, who was wearing tinted glasses, and he proceeded to beat the banana gator in the room. By the time he actually got to them, the devil fruit eaters were already feeling the ocean's effects, and were steadily growing weaker. Nami, Bonnie, do you love me now? Sanji asked as he danced over to them. Yeah, sure we do. They told him. If our lives are in the hands of this idiot, I think I'd prefer drowning. Kid said. It was then that a whole batch of gators decided to come in at once to take on the cook. Bring it on, you damned bananas. Sanji said while exhaling some smoke. They're gators with bananas growing out of them, Sanji. Naruto piped up. Have him kill the third one that came in. Smoker said from the back of the cage. Why? Luffy asked the Marine captain. It's because that's the one that ate the key. Don't you recognize the growl? He said in his gruff voice. After Sanji had kicked the third banana gator, a white ball came out of its mouth, which cracked to reveal Mr. 3 inches. Who the hell is that? Jewelry asked, seeing the man's strange hair in the shape of the number 3. Mr. 3, why were you in that gator? Vivi asked him. Mr. 3 then saw the straw hats inside of the cage and was surprised by it as well. What are you doing here? Haven't you caused me enough trouble? The man asked, and as he turned to run away he found the key stuck to his wax ball. Hey, 3, hand over that key before you get hurt. Sanji told the man in a commanding voice. What this? Judging by the cage and a sinking room, I believe it's best to do this, he said as he threw the key into the water. No, our only way out. Nami cried. It was nice knowing you guys, but I think it's time to accept our fate. Naruto said in a somber voice. He and Kid had decided to lay down in the water and slowly drown. Ah, don't do that. We might have a chance. That guy controls wax, we can probably have him make another. Usopp said in a panicky voice as he saw them actually drowning themselves. It didn't take long for Sanji to defeat Mr. 3, and force him to make the key. Yeah, we're gonna live. Kid and Naruto started dancing when they got outside. You idiots were about to kill yourselves. Zoro yelled at them. After they exited the cage, Luffy, Naruto, Kid, and Zoro laid waste to the gators, but their immense strength had cracked a wall which caused the room to flood almost immediately. Outside of Rain Dinner's, the pirates were pulling themselves out of Rain Dinner's lake, and Zoro had pulled out Smoker. Ah, Naruto, wake up! Luffy yelled while shaking his still unconscious brother. Maybe he needs CPR, Usopp stated, and was immediately trampled by the girls who wanted to give him mouth-to-mouth. Of course, much to their displeasure, he woke up on his own before they had the chance to do it. Hey, Zoro, why'd you save Smokey anyway? Kid asked the swordsman, and Smoker was interested to know why as well. Captain's orders. Nothing more. He answered. His captain was still a mystery to him. Hey, where's Croc? Luffy yelled once he realized that the man could still be in town, that is until he noticed Smoker. Oi, Smoker-Roo. Still looking to fight? He asked warily, since he couldn't actually beat him yet. Go. I'll let you go just this once. He growled at them. Thanks, maybe you're not so bad after all. Luffy smiled at him, but ran away when the man tried to hit him with his jute. Along the way they had been surrounded by Marines, but if it wasn't for Hawkeye's timely appearance they would have lost time. Where were you? And why are you scuffed up? Usopp asked the man. It's unimportant. How do we get to Alubarna? He asked. I got that covered. Look ahead. Sanji told them. When they did so they saw Chopper, and Law, who got picked up along the way, on top of a giant crab. Wow, a crab, Luffy said and threw up his arms in excitement. It a crab mover. They're rarely seen since they hide underground. Vivi said with a smile. He's Eyelash's friend. He said he'll give us a lift. The reindeer explained as they climbed aboard. That's great and all, but we have to get moving. You know, evil plot and all. Kid urged them all. Just as they got moving, a familiar gold hook grabbed Vivi and started to pull her off of the crab, that is until Naruto pushed her out of the way and took her place. Naruto. Chopper. Slow down. Law told him. No. Keep going. I'll meet up with you later. He yelled back. Okay. Keep going. Zoro told the reindeer. Oh, okay. The reindeer said, worried as he hurried the crab. When Naruto landed he was standing in front of Mr. Zero and his partner. It looks like the princess got away. Ms. All Sunday said with a giggle. It doesn't matter, just give the word to the agents in Alubarna. Crocodile told her as he kept his eyes on the blonde. Do you really think you guys are gonna win this? Naruto asked the man with his cape blowing behind him. Of course, I am much stronger than your little band of misfits. Crocodile said overconfidently. Maybe in strength, but not in spirit. We know that we'll make it through. Naruto smirked at the man who seemed angry at being called weak in spirit. Ms. All Sunday laughed at his expense. What are you laughing at? Do you want to die, Nico Robin? He asked the woman. Nico Robin. That's your name. It's real pretty sounding. Naruto said, not at all thinking before saying it, much like his brother. The woman didn't turn around at his statement, but she did feel something coming from her chest after hearing it. Well, Robin, don't you worry, I'll kick this guy's ass, and then he won't be able to kill you. He told her with a smile. Even if she continued walking away, he knew that she heard him. That woman confounds me, Crocodile said. Maybe you'd understand her better if you actually got close to her. Naruto offered, but was cut off by Crocodile throwing an hourglass by his feet. I'll give you 3 minutes. Crocodile told him. Well then, let's get started, Naruto said as he charged forward. Crocodile, in turn, just stood there thinking his abilities would stop him. Imagine his surprise when he got punched by the blonde. My abilities can negate other Logia users' elemental changes, he explained to him. Maybe you aren't so weak after all, he said while wiping blood from his mouth. He then flew over to him at high speed with his hook poised to take him by the neck. Naruto ducked under it, and turned to punch him, but missed because Crocodile turned into sand beforehand and made a hole in his face which the fist passed through. The man then socked the blonde in the face. Once he got his bearings back, the cape-wearing captain rolled out of the way when a blade of sand came at him. When he looked to see the aftermath of the attack, he was shocked to see a large split in the desert. Wah, did you do that? He asked. Yes, most fools with devil fruit powers are content with them as they are, but I continuously condition my abilities to improve my skills. Crocodile explained. I don't care. I'm still gonna beat you, Naruto exclaimed as he rushed again. Nova Punch, the teen said as he brought the fist to Crocodile's face. The heat emitted from the attack had turned his cheek into glass. You're an annoying little bastard. Desert Girasol, the man said with a little blood leaking out of his mouth again and tiny cracks in his glass cheek. The man's attack caused the sand to cave in on itself and it soon started to get sucked down. Ah, quicksand. Naruto panicked as he had to speed himself up to escape it. That's right, I made that quicksand by detecting the underground water in the area, he told him. Naruto's eyes widened at the explanation, but then he remembered that he was in a fight, so he had to address his thought later. Space launch, Naruto said as he used his powers to propel himself forward and he slammed into Crocodile's stomach. You're wasting my precious time. Tell me, do you truly care about this country? You've only just met that princess, Crocodile told him. I know, and to answer your question, I could care less about this country. After all, I am a pirate. I only care about getting my friends out of this. Vivi is my friend, and if saving this country will make her happy, I'll do whatever it takes to save it, Naruto exclaimed. Ridiculous. Crocodile yelled back and flew towards the teen, but he paused time and delivered a headbutt to the warlord. Have it your way, Sables, Crocodile said while creating a sandstorm. The problem was it wasn't aimed at the blonde. What are you doing? Naruto asked. I'm destroying Yuba and that old fool, he told the blonde. What? Leave the old man alone. He has nothing to with this, he yelled at him while grabbing his shoulders. The blonde realized too little too late that he should have stayed, because he was soon impaled on Crocodile's hook. You and that brother of yours are fools. Idiots like you are always found in the Grand Line, he said. He then noticed that he punctured the blonde's water barrel. This water must have been the last from Yuba. Too bad it's about to be destroyed, the man said, but was shocked when the captain grabbed his arm without using his powers. HMPH, just die quietly while your crew is crushed. They'll be joining you in hell, he told him as he tossed Naruto's body into the quicksand. See Crocodile. The teen struggled with his wound as he sunk into the pit. After the Strafuts and Galactics left behind the blonde captain so he could fight against Crocodile, there was an uncomfortable silence between all of them. They tried to preoccupy themselves so their minds wouldn't drift to the fight or the war they were plunging into. Zoro was, of course, working out by doing curls with eyelashes perched on his sword to add weight. Luffy, Kid, and Chopper were listening to Usopp's tall tales, which they all seemed to believe. Law was at the front piloting the crab for the group and Mihawk was standing next to him looking off into the horizon. Nami and Bonnie were the most worried about the blonde, and had taken seats at the back of the crab watching a giant sandstorm come into existence. Sanji was seated next to Vivi while the princess tried to keep her wits about her given the situation she was in. So I told the crab, you bow-legged freak. And then he and all his friends were worried about being bow-legged. So this caused them to start walking sideways in an effort to prevent being bow-legged. Usopp lied to the 3 pirates in front of him. Amazing. Who knew crabs were so self-conscious? Kid said in total awe. I know. Makino and the mayor were always trying to get me to go to school, but I never went. Who needs it when we've got Usopp? Luffy exclaimed with the other 2 shouting in agreement. Hey, you 3. Law called to them without turning around, gaining their attention. He's lying, he told them bluntly. At his statement the 3 of them started to yell at the doctor, where's your childhood wonderment? Luffy called. Yeah, Gramps, you aged too fast. Kid insulted him, you're no fun. Chopper joined in. I'm just telling the truth. He defended, and that's when Hawkeye interjected, they're right. You should have just let them be, Dream Killer. Hawkeye defended the immaturity of the 3. Come on now you. Law asked in utter disbelief. I'm never gonna let go of my childhood. I'll be a kid forever. Luffy shouted with Kid, Usopp, and Chopper yelling in affirmation. Shut up. Jewelry yelled at them, which made their mouths immediately shut. That wasn't necessary. Just let them do what they want. Zoro told her, and then she rounded on him, look at you. You're just as worried as any of us, you're just too chicken to express it, she told him. Zoro was then in her face, worrying about him isn't going to bring him here. So just shut up, and go back to worrying if you want, bubblegum. Zoro told her. Don't call me that, it reminds me of that other pink-haired bitch. She yelled at him as she punched him in the head. Everyone's getting tense. As the strongest of the crew, I should do something. Usopp though to himself, in his own little delusion. Mr. Bushido is right, you guys shouldn't worry so much. There's no way that Naruto's going to lose. Vivi said unconvincingly since she was drenched in nervous sweat. This earned the princess a punch to the head by Nami, you just need to worry about the war right now. Nami told her while masking her own fears. Nami's right, Vivi. There's no way that my brother's gonna lose to that old sand croc. Said with a wide grin, of course someone contradicted that statement. I'm sure we all know that Naruto wasn't actually expecting to win against Crocodile. Kid told everyone with a serious face and his arms crossed. What? You think he won't win? Luffy asked Kid with rising anger. I never said I thought that. I just think he knows he wasn't going to win, after all he already fought against a warlord and lost. He elaborated, until he was grabbed by the collar by an irate Luffy. You think my brother'll lose? Luffy yelled in his face. I told you that I don't think that, but he most likely did. Best case scenario, he loses. I don't think I need to tell you the worst. Kid said in a calm voice even though he was a second away from being punched. You shouldn't even be considering that. Nami told him to try and calm the situation. I'm not. You all need to remember that we're pirates, and it's always a possibility that we'll die. The real test of our strength as crew is if we'll be ready to handle those deaths. Kid said profoundly, which shocked them all. Luffy finally let go of the flame-haired teen as silence was restored on the crab. For once you're not such an idiot. Law told the first mate, insulting and complimenting him at the same time. I'm just telling the truth. He said before smiling. Of course, that bastard has no intent to die even if the odds are stacked against him. That's why we have to make sure this rebellion is stopped in time for the big finale. He told them with everyone raising their fists into the air. Pardon me, but shouldn't we worry more about that large body of water? Hawkeye interjected on the inspirational talk. It's the Sandora River. We're already here. Vivi asked, shocked. What's the big deal? Pincers should be able to cross that easy. Sanji said in confidence. No, crab movers hate water since they live in the desert. Vivi told them, what the hell? What sense does that make? If it lives in a place that usually needs water, shouldn't it love water? Law asked her in utter disbelief. Not much of a crab, is it? Zoro said with a nervous sweat. I have an idea. Pincers loves dancing girls. Maybe if you get him excited enough he'll run across the river. Chopper offered. At the reindeer's words the crab immediately fixed its eyes on it back to watch, only to get slapped in the eye by the pinkett of the group. What the hell kind of perverted crab is this? Bonnie shouted, but her physical abuse caused the crab to topple over just short of the river. Nice job. Now we have no way across the river, Pete's ahead. Nami yelled at her. Well, excuse me for not wanting to dance for a pervert crab. He better be glad I didn't have any boiling water or I'd be eating crab legs, she yelled at her love rival. You're such a brute. No wonder Naruto recruited you, you'd be able to chase off most enemies. How did this evolve into an argument about Naruto? He's not even here. All the others thought at the same time. Guess we'll have to swim. Zoro said. You seem to forget that most of our members have devil fruit powers, and some of us can't carry human bodies while swimming. Mihawk countered the plan. As they were discussing a way to get across when a large catfish burst from the water, and stared straight at them. That's a big cat, Luffy said. Don't be an idiot. It just has whiskers like a cat, but it's a fish like the bananagators. Kid pointed out. What is this thing, Vivi? Chopper asked the princess. It's a Sandoran catfish, they're actually really rare to see, she told them. Wow, we're really lucky. Law said, and that's when it lunged at them. But its favorite food is man. She yelled. You should have told us that first. Usopp panicked. Chopper. Scare it away. Kid told the small reindeer who was clinging to Zoro's head, why me? He questioned. Because you're a monster. No, I'm not. I'm a reindeer. They argued as Chopper turned into his human form, almost sinking the swordsman under him. Just as the fish was about to finish the group off, the Kung Fu Jugans appeared from the water and defeated it with a teamwork punch. And you wanted to eat them. Law pointed out to the astounded kid. Wow, thanks you guys. We would have died if you hadn't shown up. Luffy laughed with his disciples. They were now atop the KO'd catfish with the Jugans pulling it by the whiskers. After 3 hours of crossing, the team had finally made it to the opposite bank of the Sandora River. We're still a ways off. Do you think we can still make it, Vivi? Zoro asked her. I'm not sure. The only surefire way to get there in time is with eyelashes, but only 3 of us can ride him. The princess fretted over the situation. There is something approaching us, Hawkeye said, seeing a dust cloud moving to their position. It's Baroque works. They already found us, we're as good as dead. Usopp screamed, that is until the cloud stopped in front of them to reveal Karoo with the supersonic duck squadron standing behind him. We just got our rides. Law stated with a smirk. I don't need a duck to run to Alubarna. I can do fine on my own. Kid objected to the use of the animal's assistance. Suit yourself, it'll make everything easier if you aren't there. Law told him. Calm down, we need to come up with a plan right now. Luffy, you stick with Vivi and make sure she makes it to the palace. The rest of us can make a diversion with these matching cloaks, and confuse them by breaking off the main players. Zoro said with authority radiating off of him. Sounds good. Kid said. I don't like taking orders from you, but it is a solid plan. Sanji expressed, albeit strained. I don't trust anyone else to protect me, so I'll go with Greenie on this one. Bonnie said. After all, Zoro was one of the strongest, but his sense of direction would hopefully keep them out of the fight in her opinion. I want to pair up with Zoro too. Nami seconded. The swordsman was like her guardian whenever she was in a pinch anyway. Can I go with you, Sanji? Chopper said, seeing his friend depressed since all the girls were taken. I'll be walking. No doubt by now word has gotten out to the Navy about my defection from the warlords, and Baroque Works can't be far behind. Hawkeye deduced, deciding to protect the group from the bulk of the opposition. Hold it. That leaves me with Eyelashes. He's a camel can't help me in a fight. Usopp objected to his partner. I'll go with you, Usopp, but don't be surprised if I disappear to chase after a larger target. Law said to comfort his fellow teen. Alright, you guys, let's go. Try not to die, Luffy exclaimed as he pumped his fist in the air. Hey, that's bad luck, Luffy. Sanji kicked his captain. Fine, then try to stay alive. He corrected himself with an almost identical result. Alubarna. Westgate. Currently the 5 strongest Baroque Works members, excluding Crocodile and Ms. All Sunday, were gathered at the gate to act as a wall to keep the group of pirates and the princess from stopping the rebellion. It looks like the final phases have begun, and still no sign of the pirates. Ms. Doublefinger said as she took a drag from her pipe. I thought they were supposed to show up already. Now what do we do? Mr. 2 asked. He'd prefer not going after his recently acquired friends, but he didn't want to be killed by his boss either. We aren't supposed to do anything. Our only objective is to ensure that the rebellion takes place, and kill Vivi. Is it that hard to grasp, fool? Mr. 1 asked the Okama. You have some kind of problem. This ain't no joke. Mr. 2 said angrily in a karate pose, ready to fight his superior, and Ms. Merry Christmas was complaining about her back contributing to the noise. While the 4 agents were bickering, no one heard the slow Mr. 4 announce that the pirates were approaching. They, Ri-ko-em-ing. He said once he finally got their attention they saw 8 people riding ducks in identical cloaks, and one running surprisingly at the same speed as the ducks. So they plan to trick us by wearing similar cloaks. We can rule out the one that's running. There's no way the princess would be able to do that. Ms. Merry Christmas deduced. Mr. 4. Fire away. She yelled to her partner, who took out a large gun that fired a baseball at the group. Stay away from it, one of the figures said from under their cloak as the ducks swerved to avoid the ball that soon exploded. They're breaking off, Ms. Doublefinger warned. The birds started to veer off and run towards the different gates of Alubarna. Killer fire star, one of them said as they fired a pellet at Mr. 1, to which the man raised his arm to block it but suddenly found himself turned around, making the pellet explode on his back. Mr. 1 noticed the faint remnants of a light blue circle coming from the largest duck that then plowed over Mr. 2, making him give chase for revenge. Eventually, all the Baroque Works agents had chased after the pirates, save for Kid, who had been running. How come they didn't chase me? Vivi could have ran that fast. Those bastards, Kid said to himself, before deciding to head inside and help stop the rebellion. Meanwhile, the others had revealed to the agents that none of the duck riders were Vivi, and Vivi was in fact getting ready to stop the rebellion personally with Luffy by her side. With Zoro's group. Alright Zoro, let him have it. We're counting on you. Bonnie and Nami cheered while being a few feet behind the swordsman along with the ducks. Don't you two have weapons now? You should be fighting too. The swordsman shouted to the 2 girls, while Mr. 1 and Ms. Doublefinger had to fight a groan. With Usopp's group, Mr. 2 had also caught up with Usopp, Eyelashes, and Law. It's you. I met you on that ship. And is that a camel? Mr. 2 stated. Yeah, it is. It doesn't matter, though, 'cause I've got one of the strongest people of my partner crew on my side. I am, Law. Usopp announced, but the doctor never showed up. Law. Usopp looked back, and saw a blinking dot outline of Law's body signifying that the man had just left. ULP. The sniper gulped at the angry agent, and was soon defeated along with Eyelashes. With Sanji's group, I'd prefer to be helping the ladies right now. Sanji sighed, He didn't trust Zoro to protect the girls. The guy would probably get lost and cause the girls to be attacked. Chopper wasn't as calm as the cook was though, and he was quite nervous about fighting for the first time since joining the Strafuts. With Hawkeye, I should probably draw in the weaker enemies. After the bulk is done we'll be too exhausted and the lesser foes could actually get some hits in on us, the swordsman spoke aloud. Of course, avoiding you would have been a good first step. Mihawk said to the newly arrived smoker. I'll be taking you in. He said simply to the ex-warlord. Please, I can tell you right now that you won't be catching us anytime soon. Hawkeye smirked at the Navy captain as the cigar-smoking man got into a fighting stance. With Law, I'd have to say I'm surprised to see another Navy captain here. Hopefully Usopp will forgive me when I tell him I had to chase you off. The doctor smirked at the woman that had introduced herself as Black Cage, Hina. To Law she didn't seem to look like a marine because of her attire which consisted of a purple suit and a white blouse and brown shoes. The woman had brown eyes, and pink hair which left the doctor wondering if every woman in the world had pink hair. Hina unhappy. She said, referring to herself in the third person, Hina was hoping to catch you and that long nose off guard, she told him with a sigh. Sorry to say, but with my powers it's hard to get the drop on me. It's a good thing I stopped you here, we can't let you wander around trying to capture us while we're fighting. Law smirked and drew his sword though the woman seemed unfazed. With Kid. Damn it, I'm lost. Where were we supposed to go? The flame-headed teen pondered while standing on top of a building. The first mate of the galactic pirates then saw a pair of shadows on another building, before he rushed over to see what they were. Outside Alubarna. Alright. Zoro's plan worked. Come on Vivi. Luffy grinned despite the fact they were dropping headlong into a war. The pair of humans and Karoo soon positioned themselves in front of the approaching forces of the rebel army, led by her childhood friend Koza. So what are we gonna do, Vivi? Luffy asked. We're going to stop them. There's no way they'd just trample over us. Vivi answered, even if they did I'd be fine. I'm made of rubber. Luffy smiled, while Karoo was shaking at the thought of being ran over. Just as the rebels started to get near the group a cannonball landed in between them which kicked up a large dust cloud that blocked their vision. In short the plan had failed, and they were so close in fact that Koza had ran past Vivi without noticing her. Vivi, I thought they wouldn't fire until they entered Alubarna. Luffy stated after they avoided getting stampeded over. I know, something is definitely wrong, but we'll forget that for now. Luffy, we need to head to the palace. Vivi exclaimed. Don't you worry, I can take you there. Usopp said as he appeared on a white horse. Whoa, awesome Usopp, Luffy said with starry eyes. While Luffy was being Luffy, the princess was a little more skeptical of Usopp. Prove that you're Usopp, she demanded of the man. Come on, you shouldn't doubt me. Take a look, he said, showing his left arm with the bandage wrapped around it. This proved her suspicions since he didn't remove the bandage to show the X underneath, a double bluff the Strafut swordsman had thought up. Immediately after seeing this, Karoo grabbed Luffy and Vivi and proceeded to run towards Alubarna. Hey, Vivi, why are we running from Usopp? Luffy asked her. That isn't Usopp, Luffy, it's Mr. 2. Vivi told him, making the teen genuinely shocked. Really? He asked and looked back to see the man reveal himself and give chase to them, not at all bothered by the fact that they were on top of a supersonic duck. Sorry about this, Straw-chan, but I don't want to be killed by the boss. Mr. 2 apologized as he pursued them. Vivi, maybe we should just fight him. Luffy suggested. We can't. We have to get to the palace and make sure my father is okay, she told him. Alright, I'll slow him down. Gum Gum Sand Kick. Luffy shouted the nonsensical move at the Okama, which entailed a simple kick to the sands, without stretching. That isn't doing anything, Vivi shouted to the Strafut captain as the chase was closing in on the steps leading to Alubarna. Karoo, can't you find another way? He'll catch up to us if we take the stairs. the princess pleaded to the duck. Karoo nodded and changed his course, heading straight into Alubarna's cliff wall rather than the stairs. Foolish duck, how do you plan to escape? Through the wall. Mr. Two taunted, but his grin turned into a face of shock when he saw Karoo scaling the wall vertically. Wow, Karoo is awesome. There's no way Mr. Two can what? Luffy halted his praise as his eyes bugged out when he saw the officer agent of Baroque works scaling the wall much like they were. Nothing is impossible for a swan. Okama Kenpo. Releve of blood, sweat, and tears. Mr. Two announced as the trio made it to the top of the wall. As soon as they made it, though, the scent of blood assaulted their nostrils, and the horrific sight of war was before them. Vivi was taking it the hardest since these were her people slaughtering each other. Luffy, upon seeing the girl's dismay, shielded her eyes and told Karoo to press onward through the mob just as Mr. Two reached the top of the wall. While running through the mob, Karoo was struck by a stray bullet, which made it all the harder to escape from their pursuer. Soon Karoo was felled due to the wound and overexertion he had sustained. Damn, guess I'll have to fight him then. Luffy stated, getting ready, until Vivi stopped him. Vivi, I've got to fight him. You can't. We have to stick to the plan and get to the palace. Yeah, but he'll be chasing us. Just let me go. No. Karoo kept running in order to get us to the palace. Don't just step on his hard work. Vivi argued with the captain. Mr. Two was about to pounce on them when two of the supersonic duck squadron tackled him from his leap. You guys! Luffy exclaimed and was surprised to see his cook had come with the ducks. Luffy, you are so lucky I showed up. What if Vivi was hurt or captured? Sanji berated his captain while shaking him repeatedly. Whoa, calm down, Sanji. I'm sorry, Luffy cried. Listen to Vivi and go to the palace. She's in charge of you. The cook told the younger teen as he pushed Luffy aside, not even paying attention to the pair's departure. Thanks a lot. You let my target get away. This ain't no joke. Now I'm gonna have to get rid of you too. Mr. Two said angrily. It doesn't matter, as long as I'm here you'll never get to Vivi. More importantly, you have our sniper's goggles and he won't shut up about it if I don't get them back. The cook rambled on, buying the princess and his captain time to get away. Once he had finished, both of the opposing fighters delivered high kicks simultaneously, resulting in their legs meeting each other in midair. And with that, the untold battles of the Alabastan Civil War began. Trafalgar Law vs. Captain Black Cage, Hina. Currently, Law and the buxom captain's fight was underway with no clear winner in sight. She seems pretty confident despite not having a weapon. What's her game? Law thought to himself while staring the woman down. Without warning, the woman charged at the pirate, but the peculiar thing was that she didn't have a fist raised to punch him. Instead, she stuck her arm out as if to clothesline him. Once she reached him, he was surprised to see her arm pass over his midsection, leaving a steel band around the doctor. Hina expected a lot more from one of pirate crews that has smokers' panties in a bunch, she said in a haughty tone to the bound teen. You were right to expect more from us. Law said, free from the binding band, with his room surrounding them. You should really do your homework before you go after pirates. He smirked as he swung his sword, though the woman dodged the slice with ease. I do. Marines are stationed among countless islands even if there aren't any bases on it to ensure that unknown pirates are monitored, she taunted. Wonderful. Even when we think we're alone, we're being watched. Law frowned at this development and shuddered at the thought of the crew's future notoriety garnering more attention from the Marines. His thought process was interrupted when the woman rushed again with same stance. Don't expect me to get bound so easily. He smirked, but was shocked when her arm didn't pass over him and cracked two of his ribs from the force. The doctor felt unimaginable pain from the hit as he was sent careening into a building. How'd you do that? There's no way that was your own strength, he stated, though he had an inkling at what it was. Hina can choose to let you pass through her body, but if I don't, Hina's steel bindings will hit you full force, revealing that her arm was covered in the steel from powers. If you can just warp out of Hina's bindings, Hina will just have to break your arms to keep you still. Of course, when kids' powers can work on a specific person, he isn't here to fight, he muttered while standing back up. Law didn't have time to regain his bearings since the woman was charging again. She seems like the take charge type. His sweat dropped seeing as she just rushed in blindly rather than assess the situation. Shackle ball, she yelled as her arm morphed into a large steel ball traditionally used on the ankle braces of prisoners. Law responded by slicing the ball vertically up the middle and leapt at her as he delivered another slash that destroyed the housing around the two. Hina in response had ducked, losing a few hairs, and proceeded to kick him in his stomach, damaging his broken ribs further, and to add insult to his injury she morphed her other hand into an iron ball and socked him into the ground. Hina must admit, you are quite powerful, but your efforts are all centered at ending the fight in every swing rather than damaging me. How do you expect to win if you don't actually fight? She chided. I took her too lightly. A captain's strength isn't anything to scoff at. It's hard to believe that Naruto has fought Smoker. Law thought with his eyes closed. The woman was correct in her deduction. Law did aim to end the fight with each swing he took. His powers took too long to wind up otherwise, and tact wasn't exactly a crippling technique. He had to work on that. Hina feels sorry for your easy loss. She smirked, ready to crush him. Law then snapped his eyes open and warped himself in front of her, poised to slash. The same tactics. You pirates never learn, she called as she thrust her balls at him, but was shocked when a spike jutted in front of her, obscuring her view. Tact. I think we learn just fine. He smirked as he enacted an attack as the ball broke through the spike, but he didn't aim at Hina. Instead, he made two rectangular slashes aimed behind the woman and topped it off with a circular motion in the middle of the shapes. Smiling at his handiwork, the man allowed himself to be hit as he was rammed into a wall. What a failure. Your captain must be truly sorry, she said with her arms back to normal, believing the man was finished, paying no heed to the strange gestures he was making. I'm no failure. I just captured you after all. He smirked, seeing the woman still paying no attention to his words as she started to raise her hands to end him. When suddenly two slabs of wall crashed through the buildings on Hina's sides that had hole in the middle that were soon filled with the woman's hands. What is this? She screamed while struggling to free herself. Don't bother. I made the holes small enough to fit your hands through if forced, but they can't be pulled through again without lubrication. Law said, finally on his feet again. Looks like this is the end game, he said as he retrieved his dropped sword. Fool. Hina can see you're exhausted. You most likely have no energy left to lift your sword. She smirked at the stalemate she thought she had made. You're right, but who said I was going to use my sword? Law said, raising his hands and cracking the knuckles. Hina can just coat herself in steel. She countered as she did just that. You seem to be a sore loser, and not a smart one at that. You just walked into a trap, he told her, still on the approach. How? You said yourself you can't lift your sword to finish me. Correct. And with my steel you can't attack me with your fists. Correct. Hina tried and failed at realizing his plan. Too bad for you. I never used this in our fight, so you wouldn't have known. Law said while placing his palms against her chests. You perv, get away from, Hina started, but was silenced by a great electrical discharge emanating from the doctor. Captain. Black Cage. Hina was currently scorched from the high voltage shock that she had just received from the battered pirate in front of her, and barely had time to register him turning his back to her as he left her to fall into unconsciousness. I'll definitely get you back for this, Trafalgar. Hina swears. The captain had as a final thought before she slipped into darkness. Sounds like the battle is racing towards the climax. Vivi wasn't able to stop the fighting, which means that Baroque Works is getting its way. Moving toward the palace seems the best course of action. Law mused while wiping some blood from his mouth. The doctor ran towards the sound of all the fighting with a hard look on his face. I hope the others are faring well. Law thought to himself as a large explosion erupted outside of the town. I somehow feel that that was our fault. Law sighed, not realizing how right he was. With Luffy and Vivi. Hey, you two shouldn't be here. The entire town has been evacuated, you know. Are you a part of the rebel army? A royal guard questioned the two figures that were running toward their blockade. This isn't the place for children, you know. The other royal guard scolded the teens, but he was shut up once he saw the face of the girl in question. I know that. Take me to Chaka right away, soldier. Vivi ordered the man who saluted, while his cohorts were stopping the strafutted boy back. He's with me. I need him, Vivi told them. The guards reluctantly let the stupidly grinning boy through, but one of them felt compelled to ask. What can he do, Princess Vivi? He's no older than you are, and from what we've heard, Crocodile is behind this coup. These guys are formidable, how can he? The guard was stopped when Luffy looked him dead in the eye and busted a wide grin that actually put the men at ease. Don't worry about it. We're gonna make sure that old Sand Croc doesn't take your country away. Luffy stated with finality in his voice. The soldiers were left speechless at the young man's words. He seemed to be no older than their princess, yet he promised that Crocodile would be defeated. While they were unsure if he would be the one to do the beating, his tone implied that it was simply a fact. This boy held no illusion that he would lose if he went up against the Shichibukai, and even if he did, he would get up and try again. Now take us to Blanca. Luffy exclaimed. That's Chaka, Luffy. Vivi corrected the Strafut captain. The soldiers had to face fault at that one. Perhaps this boy was either too brave to be afraid of their enemy, or too stupid. Hawkeye vs. Smoker. This battle is getting old, Captain. Hawkeye sighed as he lazily fought against the marine in front of him. You pirates are all the same. Why the Gorosei, 5 Elder Stars, allow you to roam, I'll never understand. Smoker snarled as smoke billowed out of his mouth to reflect his anger. Not trusting pirates is a sound practice. It is the Marines' own fault for this war, and my own defection. You foolishly believe in your 3 great powers to keep the ball in your court, but now you've lost 2 key elements in that balance. Mihawk smirked at the man. I agree that they are foolish to a degree. They allow you to go around and do what you will and even cover up your actions to keep face. More effort should be exerted in watching your actions, if anything. Smoker jabbed his jute at the swordsman, who reciprocated with a block with the flat of the blade. In the end, the entire reason we are here at this moment is because the Gorosei want a final answer from you. Smoker scowled. Hawkeye simply stared at the man as they both lazily dropped their weapons, while still keeping their guards up in case the other would preemptively strike. Hawkeye allowed a small smirk to adorn his face. After all, he was a very perceptive man and he could see the way the world was starting to go, and it amused him. That's why he had decided to follow Naruto's crew. He somehow could tell that they would be in the center of the coming storm. Well, are you quitting the Shichibukai and staying with Galactic, or are you keeping your position? The Gorosei wanted to emphasize that you could pardon the whole lot of them, that is, if you called them your subordinates. Smoker relayed the message that his superiors had given him, but he could tell that it was very optimistic thinking on their part. Smoker felt that it was a bit insulting to have someone simply claim people that he has been traveling with on equal terms as underlings, and given the look on the swordsman's face, he though the same thing. Tell them that I decline their gracious invitation. Also tell them that they should feel ashamed of themselves for even considering that ultimatum. Let the whole world know, if you must, that I am a member of the Galactic Pirates and I have no intention of doing them a disservice by calling them my underlings. Hawkeye declared proudly without any remorse in his voice. Smoker couldn't say that he wasn't satisfied with the answer. Even pirates should have respect for their flag and crew, especially for this specific group of pirates. Mihawk has always been an enigma to the world government, and it seems that trait still carries on as he leaves their service. Very well then. I'll send in that report, and seeing as I should inform them immediately, it seems I won't be able to capture you at the moment. What a shame. Smoker sighed with his eyes closed. I'm sure that your superiors won't take kindly to that. Are you certain? Hawkeye asked as he could tell that the fighting was done and decided to put his sword away. It can't be helped, this is an important report after all. Smoker turned away as they started to part ways, but not before the Marine captain stopped. Go and save this country, and we'll deal with you all later. That is the best compromise that I can give you. Smoker finished. We will. I look forward to our cat and mouse game later. Mihawk replied, but noticed the man had already flown off. I wonder if I do that to the others. I haven't the time for pondering, the war is still escalating. The town square will become the center stage for the grand finale. Will this country fall? Hawkeye mused, and then smiled at his own question. Quite the ridiculous question. Of course it won't, he answered himself as he walked onward. At the palace. You can't be serious, Vivi Heim. A soldier shouted in outrage at the princess's suggestion. Why not? A palace doesn't embody the country, the people do. We can build another, but we can't replace the people, our people, who are fighting and killing themselves out there right now. That is why we must destroy the palace, Chaka. Vivi spoke with finality in her voice. This palace serves as a reminder of your ancestry, princess. Let's not forget Alabasta's history. The king would never allow this, princess. Commander Chaka, talk her out of it. The soldiers shouted in protest. This is dumb. Luffy spoke up, dumbfounding the soldiers. From what I've heard about Vivi's old man, he'd put everyone's lives above a stupid building. Luffy pointed out in a very blunt fashion. How would you know? The soldiers yelled back. He's right, I'm sure the king would have already destroyed the palace if he were here right now. Chaka finally said, he admired the princess. She had grown considerably during her absence, and had met people that she had promised were extraordinary. He had some reservations regarding the young pirate, but he would trust his princess's word. The man then bowed to his leader, and promised that they would destroy the palace. Okay, I'll help you guys, let's do it. Luffy cheered as the soldiers started to prepare the gunpowder barrels, and Luffy bounded off with them. A few minutes later saw the entire palace evacuated as the last of the gunpowder was being stocked by the soldiers and young pirate captain. Most of the men were still uneasy about the situation, but they trusted that their princess knew what she was doing, hopefully. Meanwhile, Chaka and Vivi were standing above all the congregated soldiers on the palace's top floor looking out on Alubarna. I'm at a loss for word on this current situation, Vivi Heim. I can't help but wonder what your father would think about this. Chaka mused. I'm sure he would understand, Chaka. When attacked, it is only natural to retaliate, after all the rebels are a considerable force. What other choice did you have? Even without a Garam guiding you, you have done well. Vivi encouraged her guardian. Besides, I need to apologize for leaving so suddenly. We are so close to ending the rebellion, but as long as Crocodile is around it will never be over. Vivi glowered at the thought of the powerful man. She couldn't help but worry about her friends. They were all fighting for her sake, and the sake of her country, with nothing to gain from it other than her gratitude and the few others who knew the truth, except Nami, who wanted her billion belly winking face dollar. The Baroque Works officer agents were formidable, and she was sure that a few of them would have trouble. No, she couldn't think like that. I hope they're all okay, she said quietly without thinking. Princess, I can see that in the 2 years you've been away that you have grown in more ways than I could possibly imagine. Chaka voiced to her, while bringing her out of her funk. They both then looked behind them as they heard shouts from inside the palace. No, place it over there. Gently. A soldier yelled. Okay, I got it. Wham, oops. That picture wasn't important, right? Luffy asked while carrying a barrel of gunpowder. That's one of the king's heirlooms. The soldier cried as more rummaging was heard. I can totally fix it. Luffy yelled back after placing the barrel where it needed to go. Wait a minute. All the barrels you carried are from the water stockpile for the garden. Did you follow the soldiers to the armory? The soldier asked. I kinda got lost, so I just started grabbing some barrels. Water blows up too, right? Luffy laughed. Just go, I'll take care of it. The soldier cried. Luffy then ran outside with the rest of the soldiers and waved up at Vivi. Quite the interesting character, princess. Chaka's sweat dropped while the young girl giggled. Chaka smiled at her. Perhaps, when this is over, we can host a banquet for your pirate friends. I'm sure that your father would like to meet them. Chaka offered. Suddenly, the soldier that was inside the palace with Luffy had ran out to the princess and her guard, dripping with blood. His appearance shocked the two of them since he should have been the only one left inside, unless Lord Chaka, he's in the castle. The soldier warned, before he collapsed. You sure are bold, Ms. Wednesday. This is about to become my palace, you know. Is there any better way to look down on vermin than from the comfort of a palace? Crocodile laughed from above them, though he seemed to have a bit of glass left over from his previous bout on his cheek. Crocodile! Vivi exclaimed, but where was the blonde captain then? There was no way that he could lose, right? Meanwhile, damn it, those two are a real pain in the ass. They both have weapons, so why don't they use them? Zoro grit his teeth while searching for his female charges. It seemed that the two top-tier officer agents were ones to conserve energy, and decided to deal with the weaker targets first. Who were those targets? Why the beautiful navigator of the Strafuts and the gorgeous cook of the Galactics, and the were currently running for their lives from Mr. One and Ms. Doublefinger. Where is that idiot? Nami shrieked. You're asking me. You have the staff, so go and whack them. Jewelry ran alongside her, just as frightened. I'm not going near them. Use those gloves of yours. Nami argued. I'd have to get way closer than you, staff girl. The Pinkett retorted, before they stopped to rest at a pillar. If we work together we could probably beat them. She offered, and when they turned to look at the two assassins, they turned and ran again. No way, they both thought, but only Nami noticed that Mr. One had leapt at them. Decoy plan, she screamed, confusing the pink-haired cook. What? Oh, you little bit ah. The woman was then yanked down by her sleeve and saw the green-haired swordsman blocking the tan man's hand, somehow. I told you to hide somewhere, or use your weapons. See what happens. Zoro then looked at the pillar they were standing in front of as it split vertically. How could that even happen? Nami shouted in confusion. It was sliced, by him. Zoro then went to slash the man, only for him to block it with his forearm, which took on the form of a blade. That's a weird body you have there. So what devil fruit did you eat? He asked. I ate the supa no mi, dice fruit, basically my whole body is a blade. I know you, as well. You're the pirate hunter that defeated our agent in Whiskey Peak along with that blonde captain, but there is a major difference between the two of you. Mr. One said stoically. And that would be? Zoro asked, his interest piqued. You're still alive, Mr. One answered, shocking the pirates. No way, you're lying. Jewelry shouted from her position. He was quite the foolish boy. Who in their right mind would challenge a Shibukai? Being a rookie only lessened his chances. Ms. Doublefinger laughed. He'd never lose, he's gonna be the Pirate King. Bonnie screamed, finally getting up. PFF'd. Pirate King. That's. The blue-haired woman was stopped by her partner. Enough, Ms. Doublefinger. You shouldn't mock someone's convictions, since most people seem unattainable to others. Mr. One surprisingly defended the blonde. After all, it would be the pot calling the kettle black, since the assassin dreamed of being a superhero at one point in his life and still clung to the hope it could still happen. Surprising that have that kind of integrity when you're following Crocodile. Zoro then blocked both of Mr. One's arms as he went on the attack. That's where our similarities end, I'm afraid. Ms. Doublefinger, take care of those girls. Mr. One told her as she sauntered off with her unusual walk, since the girls fled, being able to tell that they'd be a liability. With the girls, I can't believe that they would say something like that. Bonnie seethed at what the Blade Man had said about her captain's supposed demise. You don't think? Nami started, only to be interrupted by the cook. Of course he isn't dead. Bonnie denied. He'd never get killed. she said again unconvincingly. Suddenly, an odd brown spike came out of the wall next to them, before several more strikes were made in order to create a crude doorway. As the wall fell away, Ms. Doublefinger was revealed, with an amused smile adorning her face. She slowly approached the two young pirates, who were a little weirded out by her strange walk. You children don't know what you're up against. Of course, if you follow a fool who thinks he has a chance at attaining the title of Pirate King, how smart can you be? The blue-haired woman sighed while blowing smoke out her pipe. Stop insulting him. Bonnie was getting really upset at the insults. If anything, he should be happy that the boss even fought him, and that Mr. One defended him. The woman was stopped before she could continue by a punch to her face that sent her through her own doorway. That's it. You're dealing with me now. The cook showed she meant business by putting her gloves on, and gripping to make sure that they were tight. Hang on. Nami called to her, having rid herself of the cloak, and she also changed her clothes to a more battle-ready style. What? Are you ready now? Jewelry asked the orangutan. She's mocking my man too, you know. Nami protested. Debatable. Bonnie snarkily retorted. Just listen. This one time we should help each other, and once we're done we can be rivals again. Nami offered the girl just as the spike woman came out of her doorway while wiping her face of blood. Well, if I have to. Bonnie grumbled as they stood against the woman. Maybe you two aren't completely helpless. The woman smirked as her hands turned into spikes and she lunged at them. Strategic retreat. They shouted as the woman made a pincushion of their former position. Running again? She asked as Nami decided to take the lead on this one. No way. I hope you're ready for my clean attack. This weapon can control weather, and in the hands of a navigator, imagine what it can do. Nami boasted, while Ms. Doublefinger actually seemed genuinely surprised by the declaration. Alright, go for it. Jewelry encouraged her as she transformed her staff into a triangle. Fine tempo, she called as a cloud of smoke burst out, and two doves flew out along with colorful streamers. Hey, look doves, haha, Nami laughed unconvincingly before throwing the weapon onto the ground. Did you actually read your instructions? Bonnie whispered to the girl. Do you believe that this is some kind of game? The woman asked. She wasn't attacking out of courtesy and a little pity. This is the first time we're using these, okay. Try me on for size, ya overcompensating bitch. My professional gloves'll help me prepare this dish, but it won't be appetizing. Bonnie smirked as the navigator started to frantically read her directions. Really? Ms. Doublefinger asked the girl. Just watch. I'll start with a favorite dish of mine. Pizza spin. Bonnie twirled at the woman as she went for a right hook with added momentum from the spin. Don't blame me if you die. Suiting a stinger finger. The woman went at the pinket, but caught a glint from the glove as it neared her stomach. The woman was surprised as a thin cut was made on the woman's abdomen. A real weapon then, huh? That's right. Hidden weapons all riddled within my gloves, and they're perfect for me. Wanna find out what's next? Bonnie laughed as a hidden blade slid back into the glove. I am so done with you. Doublefinger said, embarrassed. I got it. Nami shouted from behind Bonnie. I hope so. Skinning blades. Bonnie pulled out more blades that were more noticeable than the other, and she used them in a way that the name entailed. Ms. Doublefinger was so distracted by the cook she failed to notice Nami using her newly discovered combat abilities. She'd kill Usopp later. Suiting a Hedgehogu, stinger hedgehog. Ms. Doublefinger shouted as she rolled after the pinket who was trying to outrun the spiked ball. It's done. Nami called her companion. The pinket leapt at the orange-haired girl, and shoved her out of the way before the spike woman could impale them. Your weapons are a stain on those that can use true killing methods. You little pirates can't hope to compare to our force. The woman then impaled the girls, but they faded from her sight. Sorry to say, but this desert can really make you see some crazy things. Nami taunted the woman from behind as she adjusted the klima tacked into a T shape. Crazier than you? Bonnie asked from above them while pounding her fist into her hand. Just stay ready, I'll handle this. Nami sighed. I'm really growing tired of this. Toge toge dopingu. The annoyed woman then stabbed herself with her own spiked finger, which somehow caused her arms to bulk up. That's a little sick, Bonnie commented, before the woman jumped up to her level and punched her with spiked arms. The Pinkett was sent across the roof with blood coming down her cheek, before losing consciousness. Hey, leave her alone. Nami called the doped-up woman. Don't worry, you'll get your turn. The woman smirked as he aimed her fist at the ground and fell toward the girl, causing a crater that pushed Nami into a wall. The woman then stabbed the girl through the shoulder, impaling her to the wall while staring into her eyes. You two are weak, and your weapons are an embarrassment. I bet your captains constantly regret letting weak little cats like on board their ships. That poor little princess will be rasping her last breath, knowing that you failed her. We can handle it. Compared to the things that Vivi had to go through, the things that you do to us don't even register. This weapon is perfect for me, and I'll show you why. Next time, you should stay out of the tornado zone. Nami warned the woman as she brought her staff up to the woman. Tornado tempo, tornado tempo. Nami called out her weapon's most powerful attack, but she grew frightened when she saw two toy birds pop out instead of an explosion. Ms. Doublefinger smirked, thinking it was another joke until the birds started to tangle around her left arm and right leg. Soon the birds had her completely immobile and the staff started to spin her around at a fast pace. Whoa, Nami said, surprised at the proceedings. What is this? The woman cried as she was rocketed toward a building, and went straight through to the other side. I won, Nami asked as she slunk to the ground in exhaustion, while holding her bleeding shoulder. Not a chance, Ms. Doublefinger shouted, rushing from the building with spikes at the ready. Cupcake cloud, Bonnie shouted as she landed the finishing blow with an overhead punch that caused a small shockwave that actually left a pink cloud in the form of a cupcake to rise above the buildings. Oh, you're still here. Nami deadpanned, shifting her eyes downward in an uncaring manner. Is that the thanks I get for saving your life? Bonnie sneered. I had it handled. Darn, now my plan to comfort Naruto won't work. Nami slyly smiled at the Pinkett. That's it. Truce over. Come here. Bonnie chased the laughing girl as they ran toward the town square. At the palace. Outside the palace gates, the soldiers were trying to break in since they heard that Crocodile had apparently infiltrated the palace. The only problem was the 16 weird hands that sprouted from the doors, stopping the soldiers from busting in to rescue their princess. That damn croc. Luffy snorted, deciding to stretch himself up to the roof of the palace. Ah, Strafut, I'm surprised to see you here. Crocodile smirked as he stood before Chaka, Vivi, and Luffy. Ms. All Sunday was next to King Cobra, who was currently impaled at his elbows to a wall. Father, Vivi called out to her dad, but he barely looked up due to his fatigue from blood loss. I'm sorry, Vivi. You gave me a chance to end this, one that you risked your life for, but I wasn't able to put that chance to good use. Cobra sighed sadly. Let His Majesty go, Crocodile. Chaka demanded, a hand on his sword. I'm afraid I can't do that, I still need him. Though, he was correct, Princess, but you didn't just risk your life. You risked the lives of your precious pirate friends, as well, kuhahaha. Crocodile laughed. Where's Naruto? What did you do with him? Vivi asked the Shichibukai frantically. I thought that it would be obvious with my presence here. That blonde fool is dead. Crocodile stated in a factual tone. You what? Luffy yelled in anger. Hard of hearing. I said that he's dead, buried beneath the sand of Alabasta near Rainbase. Crocodile smirked at the teen. I'm gonna. Luffy started only to be stopped by the young princess. No, Luffy. He want you to attack him, clear your head. Vivi struggled hold back the teen as he tried to walk past her. I don't much care if you believe my words, but I'll let you know that I have no intention of allowing any of you to live. When a kingdom falls, its royal family must fall with it. Which brings me back to my previous point. Cobra, tell me where the Pluton is located. Crocodile calmly told the shocked king. How could you possibly know about that? Cobra asked the man. Pluton. Vivi wondered what this thing that this madman wanted could be. It is said that Pluton is the ultimate superweapon, since it is named after a god. Once I gain this, my true goal, I will be able to rule this nation and make it the dominant military superpower in the world. Crocodile laughed as he dreamt of the power he would soon possess. There's no way that the world government would allow that. Cobra pointed out to the man. Precisely why I have need of the Pluton. I have to make sure that I hold all the cards in terms of military strength. Crocodile explained to the king. Well, I'm not sure where you heard the name of this supposed weapon, but I haven't any idea of where it would be or if it exists. Cobra denied having any knowledge of this destructive weapon. I thought as much. I'm not entirely sure that it exists myself. By the way, I'm not sure if you are aware, but I have currently armed a large explosive device to be detonated at 4:30, or should I say 30 minutes from now. Crocodile told them as if he had forgotten to mention it to his audience. In only 30 minutes? Vivi questioned the man in shock. Yes, and by my calculations the rebel army's forces will arrive in the square in about 20 minutes with no chance of escaping from the blast. If you really wanted to eliminate the rebel forces, you should have simply killed all of them in one fell swoop. A 5 kilometers blast zone will ensure that such an event will come to pass. Crocodile slowly chuckled at the plan. You think I'd let you do that? Luffy yelled as he finally shook free of Vivi's grip and went to punch the man, but suddenly hands sprouted from the ground and his body while twisting his limbs to hold him. Now there's no need to get so upset. Ms. All Sunday giggled while watching the teen struggle to untangle himself. How could you? What have my people done to deserve this? Vivi yelled, but Crocodile ignored her. Now, Cobra, I have another question for you. I'd like to know where the poneglyph is located. Crocodile said without leaving any room for argument from the king. Pony glyph. Luffy wondered while picturing a horse in his mind and, not knowing what a glyph was, some imaginary type of meat that would never end. The record of history. Vivi also wondered what the man could possibly need it for, since no one could read those ancient letters. If I show you, no, I'll take you there myself. Cobra said in a defeated tone of voice. I believe I've heard enough of this. I can barely hold my rage at bay. Chaka spoke up through grit teeth as he took up his blade to defend his monarch. With Kid. You know, I've got somewhere to be. Kid sneered as he finally chased down those shadow he saw. Chasing you two around really isn't helping me get to where I need to be. The two people he was talking to were actually two women, which made him wonder how that worked in Baroque works. One of them had armor on her lithe body, but it appeared light so she wouldn't lose mobility. The funny thing was the armor didn't go down her arms. The other woman was wearing all black with a spider web design covering the lower portion, and she looked a tad bit paler than Kid with blank eyes. Both had black hair, and were wearing matching bracelet but on the opposite arms so they'd be facing each other as the women stared down the pirate. So, you two got names? Kid asked. I am Ms. Halloween. The ghostly woman answered. The title I am known by is Ms. Renaissance Fair. The armor-clad woman followed suit, but she talked strangely. Well, I'm a bit surprised that two girls are together in this organization. Kid told them truthfully, while mounting a sneak attack. We're sisters, but even then the boss wouldn't allow us to work together. Ms. Halloween started. We were forced to raise our hands against the partners to which the boss assigned. He decided to allow our heart's desire after seeing the results. The armored woman spoke. You sure talk weird, Kid observed as he eyed some of the metal he had attracted, hoping to spear them and get it over with. The pirate then pulled all of the sharp object toward him, with the women being none the wiser, or so he thought. Shattering screech. Ms. Halloween shouted as a high-pitched noise emanated from her throat, but the surprising thing was the fact that all the metal had shattered like glass. What the hell, Gurk? Kid barely had time to question the event before he was stabbed by Ms. Renaissance Fair with the woman's arm becoming a lance. Thy struggles are futile, knave. I hath partaken of the mori mori no mi, lance fruit, and, not sure how accurate this is, but I wanted to avoid using, spear, in Japanese which would be, yari. Mine sister hath consumed the Jaime no mi, scream fruit. We cover all bases, long and short range combat is our realm of expertise, the knight-like woman told him. I'll admit you took me by surprise, but, Kid grit out as he muscled through the pain and grabbed the lance, I'm not one to turn tail and run because I'm supposedly outclassed. He then went for a punch, but was blown back and into a building. Concussive screech. Be more careful, sis. He isn't first mate for nothing, and we aren't the boss. Ms. Halloween chided her sibling. Golem hand. Kid yelled from the rubble after he got some more metal to form his arm. I shall wait. Ms. Renaissance Fair then leapt onto a building and jumper even higher into the air. Another shattering screech was launched at the metal appendage, leaving the red head without metal again, but he was able to continue running forward and rammed the woman through a wall as revenge. He however looked up to find his second opponent coming at him from above. Meteoric lance, she yelled, using gravity to intensify the plunge of her weapon, but the pirate was able to just dodge the blow. Unfortunately, a crater formed from the impact which made him lose his footing. They really are professionals. No openings, and attacks that are like rapid fire. They're completely in sync with each other. Kid mumbled as he slid into the crater. Curses, he dodged my attack. Ms. Renaissance Fair seemed unfazed from the man's quick escape. Now I got ya. Kid jumped from his slide aiming another punch, but grabbed more metal at the same time since he expected interference from the banshee. Bloody scream. Ms. Halloween called from outside the crater, aiming a scream designed to cause internal bleed. Blurg. Damn it. Metal rain. He called, dropping the assorted metal from the sky while knowing that the woman would be hard-pressed to avoid the entirety of it. He was correct as they were able to either destroy or avoid some, before the rest had them battered and bruised. Damn you. Your pathetic attacks rely on your surroundings being abundant with metal, but this is a desert. There is only so much before you run out, and yet you keep bringing more for us to destroy. How foolish. Ms. Halloween mocked the pirate as he bled from his ears and nose while coughing up blood. It is as I said, mine sister, these pirates are dirt beneath our heel. The boss easily dispatched Galactic, so it is appropriate that the crew follows, the lance woman giggled. No, you're wrong, he isn't dead. Kid said, struggling to get up. Even I can tell. My organs are a mess, they're swimming in my blood. I have to beat them now. Kid thought, getting to his knees and facing the woman outside the crater. Why do you believe that? We may know the boss's identity since we were called due to the excess of you filthy pirates, but he would never give a false report about this, the banshee told him, watching her sister stand in front of the kneeling man. He won't die. He has a dream that he needs to fulfill. He can't die until he becomes the pirate king. I told every one of them on our way here not to worry, because he is too stubborn to die. Kid shouted. So noisy, and I'm a scream woman. It's exactly as they weak dogs have loud barks, haha. What a fool. Pirate king. Stronger men than him have yet to reach that goal and he thinks that he can. Shiahaha. Don't worry, you'll be joining him soon so you can be idiot all you want. Ms. Halloween laughed. Kid grew angry at her smug face, even though it was blocked by her sister standing in front of him. He knew it was there. This bitch was making fun of his captain, and he knew that if the blonde were here he would laugh it off because other people's opinions didn't matter to him, but they mattered to Kid and he wouldn't allow anyone to slander the man he chose to follow. At this point even Ms. Renaissance Fair was becoming frightened as the man forced himself to get up, and when she saw his eyes she froze as he shoved her out of the way. Damn it. Don't you laugh at him. Kid rushed up to the shocked woman and grabbed her by the throat, making sure she couldn't use her powers. Who do you think you are? You're following someone that's ready to destroy a country to get what he wants, and you look down on pirates. We are and always will be stronger than you could ever hope to become, because we follow a true leader. Kid told her, making the woman scared out of her mind as if she were seeing her own demise. Lucky for the Banshee, her sister snapped out of the stupor, and stabbed the man with a lance covered in spikes, which made it even more painful going in and harder to pull out. He then fell back into the crater with the lance still in his chest, breathing heavily from the internal bleeding and the pain of the spiked weapon. Thank you, sister. You shocked me, it almost slipped my mind that you were an injured man. Now, I think I'll finish you off. Ms. Halloween smirked, but she was stopped by her sister. Let go, sister. The scream woman told her sibling as she moved her arm, but the lance woman's arm went with it. What? They both exclaimed, and then noticed that their bracelets were stuck together. I noticed that when I attracted metal that those little accessories of yours did their best to stay on your wrists. So I kept getting more in order to see how much I had to work with, then it was all a matter of touching them so they'd get magnetized. Kid explained from his prone position. When you shoved me, Ms. Renaissance Fair remembered. And when you choked me, Ms. Halloween sneered. In all honesty, if you hadn't walked next to each other you wouldn't have noticed. Then again, if you didn't walk close to each other, it may not have been enough to beat you. Kid wheezed, watching the women slowly rise into the air along with some of the smaller metallic objects following behind. I'll not let you have the last laugh, heathen. Sister, finish him, Ms. Renaissance Fair called. What? Kid asked. You still have that lance stuck in your chest. Ms. Halloween answered cryptically. Your powers will most likely cease if you lose consciousness, and you're already on your last legs, she smirked. The lance. Wait. Don't tell me. Kid started to sweat, seeing the woman start to inhale. Shattering screech. She launched the attack at the lance, causing it to explode into pieces and sending the shrapnel into the man's chest. Goo. Kid held back a scream as the mess of shrapnel tore through his already damaged body. I can't pass out. I need to finish this first. Kid thought while breathing heavily. He isn't dead yet. Ms. Halloween cried out. No, it is too late to stop, look. The lance woman said worriedly as the metal started to close in and pick up speed. Magnet vortex. Kid weakly called, but he was still audible to the two women as they started to yelp in pain. Soon there was a ball of metal that fell to the ground with the unconscious women's face being visible, with their eyes rolled into the back of their heads. Kid was still on the ground, breathing heavily with his eyes shadowed. Next time don't mock your opponents, and you won't have to deal with that amount of pain. Kid smirked even though he was in about the same amount of pain. Now how am I going to get up? He thought to himself. Back at the palace. Damn it. Let me go. Luffy cried while still struggling against the woman's hands, tangling him in his own limbs. The teen wanted to help Chaka out and avenge his brother's supposed death. Wait, Chaka-sama, a voice called as the palace doors were finally forced open despite the hands blocking them. Apparently the recoil of the hands went back to the woman since her hand was bleeding and her control slipped enough for Luffy to escape. Who are these cretins? Crocodile wondered. The Kicking Claw Force. Vivi answered the man's unheard question. Don't fight him, men. Cobra commanded to the 4 elite guards. I'm sorry, Your Highness, but we can't do that. This man has caused our country enough pain. One of them frowned at the man. Please, seeing that you've just arrived, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Run away, and stay out of this. Crocodile offered the men a way out alive, but he knew the fools would never take it. We cannot, we have a reason for our actions, one of the guards said, as all of them gained strange marking on their arms and their muscles bulged as well. Whoa, what's wrong with them? Luffy asked. In order to gain superhuman strength they drank a fatal elixir. It will kill them in only a few short minutes. Chaka informed the two. Should I? Ms. All Sunday asked. Don't worry, I'll deal with these nuisances. Crocodile stated before he used his powers to float out of their reach, deciding not to fight the men and let them die. If you're going to die anyway, why dirty my hands? The Shichibukai asked as the men succumbed to the elixir one by one. You wouldn't even honor them by fighting. Chaka was enraged at the disrespect to his soldiers. It was stupid. Luffy said, shocking everyone. Seems we agree on something, Strafut. Crocodile chuckled amusedly. How could you think that, Luffy? Vivi asked. They had no chance of winning. I understand that they were mad, but throwing your life away with no hope is stupid. You have to fight with all you have even if you lose, not take some kind of easy way to gain strength. Now I just have another reason to kick Croc's ass. Luffy answered them. He wasn't mad at the guards per se, but rather the way they decided to kill themselves with a drug rather than battle. The boy is right, I wish they didn't throw their lives away to challenge you. To avenge them I will fight in their stead. Chaka growled as he transformed into a jackal and jumped at Crocodile. So you're a zone type? Crocodile asked before being slashed at high speed by the jackal man. So you'd put your life on the line as well? Before long Chaka was beaten as well, bleeding profusely and on the verge of losing his grip on the waking world. The Sandman stood up the jackal with his hook outstretched, having just removed it from the man's body, with blood dripping down the weapon. Chaka, Vivi called. It's my turn. Luffy finally got ready to take on the Shichibukai. Wait, a new voice called. What now? Luffy whined. It's Koza. Vivi looked to her childhood friend, as she explained the situation to him, and told him not to rush off and warn the armies of the bombs or there would be mass panic. She believed that he should have the rebel army surrender along with the royal soldiers so there would be a complete ceasefire. Do you think I'll let you do that? Crocodile asked, hook poised to strike but it was kicked away by the rubber boy. Who's that? Koza asked. Just get out of here. Luffy told the man as he faced off with his foe. How do you plan to stop me, when your brother couldn't? Crocodile taunted. Shut up. Gomu Gomu no pistol. Luffy launched the punch toward the man's face, but it went through him. Suddenly Crocodile's hook was around Luffy's neck, before he was tossed into a wall. Luffy got up almost immediately and ran back into the fight, throwing a kick through Crocodile's stomach that led into a backhanded punch. I will admit that your brother did much better than you when we fought. I actually had to work a bit when fighting him. Crocodile sighed while grabbing Luffy by the throat before draining the moisture from his body. Koza, Vivi shouted, having seen the man get shot from behind, no doubt from Baroque Works goons hidden in the armies. The hidden attacks had reignited the fighting, and with a well-timed sandstorm Crocodile had drowned the young princess's voice out. We have to commend you, princess, for making it this far, but your luck has run out. Ms. All Sunday smirked from beside the king. Vivi. Luffy wheezed, trying his best to get up, but his mummified body crumpled under his weight. I won't give up. We still have 15 minutes until the explosion, that's more than enough time to save at least some of my people. Vivi looked defiantly at the calm mastermind. You can stop the rebellion by doing this, you can stop it by doing that. Crocodile walked up to the girl and grabbed her by the throat. Wake up, girl. Your ideals will ultimately amount to nothing. In order to see things like this through, you must have the power to make them happen. Crocodile closed his eyes in what seemed like disappointment. I don't care what you think, I would never abandon my ideals. Vivi shouted. I won't give up, I owe it to my friends and my people. I am the princess of Alabasta. Vivi started to cry. You've only got 15 minutes, and more rebel forces are on their way to the square while you prattle on. They've no idea of the horror they will soon face, and it is all your fault. If you told them there might have been a panic, but a good portion of them would survive the pandemonium. Crocodile reasoned. Crocodile, please don't. Cobra pleaded. Your wish to save everyone is what will ultimately kill them all. You've saved no one, you've had 2 whole years to prepare but you failed. Now your country, your citizens, and your friends will be taken from you. Your idealistic nonsense only allowed the body count to increase. In the end, You cannot save this country. Crocodile finished his monologue, as he dropped the princess to her doom, and let out a hearty laugh. Vivi cried as it seemed that her life would basically end at the same time as her country would, and with no hope in sight for her. She took one final look at the sun since its light would be the last thing she wanted to see rather than Crocodile's smiling face. Suddenly, a shape appeared in the bright orb and it looked to be a large bird. Was someone riding on it? Crocodile seemed to take notice of the shape and gained a shocked look once he saw the bird's rider. Crocodile. Naruto called from atop Pell in his full animal form. Naruto-kun. Vivi cried. Galactic. Crocodile shouted back in surprise. How did this brat survive? Luffy, while behind Crocodile, let a small smile spread onto his mummified face. He knew his brother was alive, and now Croc's plans would definitely go up in smoke.